Stand up, New York Giant fans. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Sports expert MH Hitbit in the house. John in the house. Delano, King Andy, diehard Giants fan, AV Sports, Russell Fella, Joel, NFL DNA, Mike Moraine in the house. If you guys haven't done so, please go on over the hub, subscribe to this channel. He's doing a great job over there. Was in there for a bit. Sabrina, what's going on? Rogue Dog, how you been, buddy? Deshaun, thank you for being here. Jacob Kaiser, some of my best in here. Thank you to everybody for being here. BS in the house. What's going on, BS? How you doing, buddy? Riot Clan, Karambite, Aaron Flynn. We got some great subscribers in here. Andrew Boyle, thank you guys for being here. MH says, yeah, I got long-ass hair. MH, I haven't been to the barber shop in like 3 months. With this whole pandemic going on, my hair's down to like my ankles. So, yeah, I got long hair right now. What's going on, Russell? What's going on, Logan? Thank you for being here. Thickway in the house. Riot Clan. Thank you. Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. Hope everybody's staying safe out there. Obviously, there's not a ton to talk about. The schedule came out. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Ask me questions about that. Obviously, we'll talk about the upcoming season, the coach, whatever you guys want to talk about to get your mind off of what's going on in the world right now. Obviously I made the videos I made today. Not a ton of news today in the New York Giants world, but there's always stuff to talk about when it comes to the Giants or just sports or football in general. So looking forward to talking to you guys tonight to get my mind as well as hopefully your mind off of what's going on right now. And hopefully we get sports back sooner than later. Word came out, I think, May 15th. They're supposed to be, at least to some capacity, opening up facilities. So hopefully we get football back sooner than later. And I'm hearing about baseball July 1st, so we'll see if that happens, but that would be great to get back to some sense of normalcy. Matthew, man, thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate it, man. $2 donation says, where's Bad Dog? Love you, man. Do what you do. Bad Dog will be on the channel this week. We do that once a week. We alternate channels. And yeah, probably Thursday, somewhere along those lines, he'll be on the channel. We'll do the dual show. I do the, sports fan, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the love, man. Stand up, new member. I appreciate you for joining the channel. Great supporter of mine. What's going on, Chuck Sharts? A guy who's been with me forever. Great supporter of the channel, man. I really appreciate you popping in, man. And let's see what we got here. Let's get going. New member. Yeah, that's right. Best avatar in this chat. Green Frog in the Giants. I see those all over the place. They're all over the place in my Discord throughout YouTube. What's going on? Just got tickets to the Bucks game. That's pretty good. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about the Bucks game. The Bucks game, if you asked me, name one game, and I'm not picking the Giants to win that game. I'm not crazy. What's going on, Meat Man? Thanks for popping in the stream. But if you asked me one off-the-wall game that I think the New York Giants could win this season, it's the Bucks game. And call me crazy. When I say off the wall, I'm saying one of our 4 toughest opponents. And when I say 4 toughest opponents, I'm talking about the Seahawks. I'm talking about the Bucks. Outside of the division, of course. I'm talking about the Ravens. I'm talking about the 49ers. The Bucks game, you're going to have 4 extra days to prepare because you're playing Thursday night the night before. The Bucks, I believe, are playing in Vegas, so they got to travel 2 weeks in a row. I could see an upset that week. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not picking it. I could see an upset that week. It wouldn't shock me. And I'm looking forward to that game. And everybody's saying that's the game that they want to see the Giants with the ring ceremony with Strahan and Eli. So we'll see. Totally up and coming. Let's see. I can't give you one, Chris does, but the mods, Bucks and Cardinals overrated. I think we could beat the Cardinals too. I wouldn't even be shocked if they beat the Cardinals. I think everybody's overhyping the Cardinals. That's just my personal opinion, and maybe I'm gonna look like a complete fool. Like I completely get the fascination, with that team. But at the end of the day, they still have a bad offensive line. They still don't have a great defense. I think we could beat the Cardinals with them traveling here. I know they beat us last year. It was rainy conditions, which was bad for both teams. Kyler Murray couldn't throw the footballs effectively. I'm not saying they're not a better team, but I think we could. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we beat the Cardinals. Oh, Rudy the Gamer, man. Thanks so much for the love, man. I appreciate it, man. Rudy the Gamer, been a great subscriber of mine for a while, man. Glad to see you on here, man. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. He says, let's go and talk about the first game on Monday. All right, let's jump into that, and then I'll get to Mark, man. Mark, thank you for being here. Let's talk about the first game on Monday. First off, aren't you happy it's not the Dallas Cowboys? Because all we heard from NJ.com and everybody else that they're going to be playing the Dallas Cowboys opening week, and we're used to that. They play the Dallas Cowboys every opening week. We get the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm happy about it. I'm going to tell you why. One, it's two historical teams, right? It's always nice when we play the Steelers, two of the best teams in the sport, historically. Going at it, we only play each other once every 4 years. And I always get excited for the Steelers. Steelers are one of the organizations I respect more so than most organizations in the sport. I say it all the time. They do it the right way. And I think that's a winnable game. I do. And I think it's a good litmus test because I feel like the Steelers are kind of in the middle. I feel like they're right around 15, 14, 10 to 15 range, maybe 16, 17th best team in the league. And it's at home. So I think that's a really good litmus test early on. Now, what I'll say about the beginning parts of our schedule, you're playing 5 really good defenses early on. That is a really tough test for Daniel Jones learning a new playbook. Jason Garrett, new offense, everything else. The Giants are going to have to learn on the fly, and they're going up against some of the best defenses in the sport early on. The 49ers, great defense, right? The Steelers have a really good defense. So they're going up against really good defenses. Even the Rams week 4 have a good defense. So that will be a test. Make no mistakes about it, but I'm looking forward to it. Mark, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I really appreciate it, man. So what's up, Chris? Missed the last couple of streams, but been devouring the content you've been releasing. That podcast with Fireside was great. Yeah, we got like 10 thumbs downs. I think it's because Giants fans don't like hearing that we think that they might go 6-10, but I love Fireside Giants. I always have a great time working with them. I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. I think they're great guys. Looking forward to going to games with them. And I think they're building a great channel, and anytime I can work with anybody, the Hub, another guy I want to continue to work with. I love to work with Giants creators. So they're great guys, got a great channel over there. So I highly suggest anybody who hasn't done so to go on over there and subscribe to them. I love working with those guys. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for popping in the stream. What's going on? Couldn't the Giants beat the Seahawks considering Judge came from the Pats and they beat the Hawks in Super Bowl 49? I'm getting a Jones jersey soon. NFL DNA, at the end of the day, anything's possible. You know what I'm saying? But here's what I'll say. If things are back to normal, and at that point it's late in the year, hopefully they are, for our sanity, that's going to be a tough game to win. I mean, the 12th man, Seattle, historically one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. Russell Wilson, one of the best quarterbacks, probably top 3 quarterback in the league. It's going to be a tough game to win, Probably the second hardest game on our schedule. Factoring in that it's on the road. I would say Baltimore's the toughest and Seattle's probably the second hardest. I don't see us winning that, but football, I've seen crazier upsets. The Miami Dolphins beat the Patriots 2 years ago, so anything can happen, but I'm not picking it. Jacob, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I really appreciate it, man. $5 donation says, if Andrew Thomas only gives up 3/4 of a sack in the first 3 weeks versus the Steelers, the 49ers and Redskins, think he would be a Pro Bowler and shut the haters up. Well, to be honest with you, I don't think there's many haters for Andrew Thomas. I really don't. I haven't seen many haters for Andrew Thomas, but Andrew Thomas is going to be put to the test. I think there were a lot of Giants fans that wanted a defensive player, but I think most of them were okay with Andrew Thomas. I mean, Andrew Thomas, to me, was, if not the favorite tackle to be selected by most Giant fans, I would say he was the second by most. Some liked Wirf, some liked Becton, but the majority, I think, either liked Wills or Thomas. I think that's what it came down to on draft night. But Thomas, like Daniel Jones and like Jason Garrett, like I just said, he's going to be put to the test right away. I mean, you're going up against some of the best pass rushers in the league. We're talking about the Steelers. They got Dupree, Watt. The Redskins, obviously that's a little bit later, but they're going to have Chase Young. The Cowboys, they got a really good pass rusher. The Niners with Bosa and Ford. So he won't be going up against Donald. He's an interior defensive lineman, but he's going to be put to the test early on this year. Make no mistakes about it. And hopefully he's up for the challenge, and I'm looking forward to it. Jason Young, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I really appreciate it, man. $5 donation. He says, this is year 2 of the rebuild. To me, we win 6 to 7 games. My biggest worry is Mara. His comments this year, just like in previous years, were alarming. Jason Young, man, you're preaching to the choir. And that's why, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, and I don't want to have to say this. I'm a Giants fan just like you guys, okay? I wake up every day wishing things were the way they used to be. And I could tell you guys, how hard it is for me, and the Hub knows, and anybody that makes content on YouTube, you know how hard it is for us to come on here week in and week out and tell you guys, we got to be patient. We're probably only going to win 6 or 7 games. We got to be patient. Don't you wish I could tell you what you guys want to hear? We're going to win 11 games this year. No problem. 12 games. We're not there yet. Now, it's football. Anything can happen. But I do think it's a process, and I don't like that ownership. I don't like that Mara is coming out and already saying, we better be better. If we aren't better, there's, he didn't necessarily say it, but it's come out from Glazer. There's going to be changes. Obviously, that's Gettleman. They're not going to fire Judge after 1 year. But I just don't like that pressure on the GM going in. I just don't. I don't. I'm one that is trying to express that I want sustainability. It's what I've said since I've been on YouTube. I don't like constant change, and that's what the Giants have been over the last 4 or 5 years. And to me, that's one of the biggest reasons why we've been dysfunctional. Like I said in my community note today, you had a GM and you had a head coach when you kept Jerry Reese. That's where this all started. When they fired Coughlin, they kept Reese. You then had a GM on a completely different timeline than the head coach that you brought in. McAdoo was trying to get, he was thinking about the future. He was thinking about the next 4 or 5 years. He was talking about Mahomes. Jerry Reese was thinking about his job. So he goes out there, he drafts Evan Ingram. He spends all the money he does at free agency, and it's a great first year. And then we're, in large part, that is a major reason why we're in the problem we are today. So I don't like constant change. I don't like flipping. I'm hoping it works out. I hope they stick with Gettleman for another year. Let this rebuild continue to play out. And Jacob, man, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. ESPN Stephen A. Smith saying he's the worst tackle. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith has to say. At the end of the day, I honestly don't care what Stephen A. Smith has to say. I really don't. I really don't. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith has to say about the New York Giants. Stephen A. Smith last year, and I'm not trying to bash him. I think Stephen A. Smith's a smart guy. I think he's entertaining. But at the end of the day, this is the same guy last year who said Dwayne Haskins was a mobile quarterback. Dwayne Haskins. I mean, are you kidding me? So I take his opinion with a grain of salt. He's entertainment. Andrew Thomas was a good first-round pick. Period. He was a good first-round pick, so I don't really care what he has to say. Malik, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, I'm simple, man. I see stream. Donate. By the way, hit the like. Malik, man, great support of my channel. Always shows a lot of love. Always shows a lot of support. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for always showing love. And I always say, one of my best comments I ever received in one of my videos. Let's see what we got here. What's going on, MYG31? Man, there's another guy with a channel over there. Thank you for popping in. Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is mobile. Yeah, he's real mobile. Chris, I got the Jets going 7-9. What do you think? Hitbit, great subscriber of mine, Jet fan. I haven't looked at your schedule, to be completely honest, Hitbit. Without me looking at your schedule, I think you and us are kind of in the same boat. I think both of us are around 6 to 8 win teams, and maybe a little bit better if we had more favorable schedules. What I've heard about the Jets schedules, a lot of people are complaining about it, so I'm assuming you have a hard schedule. What I'll say about the Jets, and I like to give you guys credit when I can, I don't hate the Jets. I know I bashed you guys in one of my more recent videos. The Jets had a good offseason. The Jets drafted really well this year. They made a great trade. They got Denzel Mims at like 60. I thought Becton at 11 was the right pick. You needed a tackle. I think it's a year late. I think you should have addressed that offensive line a year earlier, but it's better late than never. So I think the Jets are headed on the right path, but I think you're kind of in a similar situation to the Giants. I think you're probably a 6 or 7 win football team, and you're a year away. But the good news for you guys, the Patriots might be collapsing, so we'll see. Mike, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, Judge could influence ownership to keep Getty. He could. He could also influence ownership to get rid of Getty. You know what I'm saying, Mike? I mean, Joe Judge at the end of the day is going to want to have a guy in that's his guy, that has the same line of thinking as he does. And I'm not saying Dave Gettleman doesn't. Dave Gettleman and him seem to think alike on some things. I think they're both guys that believe in building in the trenches, hard-nosed football. I think that's what Gettleman and Judge want, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, Judge is going to want a guy in here that's his guy, so we'll see, and Judge may end up being the GM, or at least the guy that's in charge of the personnel decisions. Maybe Abrams steps up as the GM that makes the financial decisions. Big Bang, man. Thanks so much for that, man. I appreciate it. $5 donations. Starting week 5 to 10, 5 out of 6 game division stretch games. Yeah. Big Bang. And by the way, thank you for being a member of the channel. I don't know if I try to say that whenever I can to you guys. Thank you to all your support, for all you guys that are members of the channel. By the way, if you didn't see my community notes members stream on Monday, I pushed it back a day. I just want to make sure you guys hear that when I do a giveaway, because Mother's Day is tomorrow. But weeks 5 to 10 that's the schedule. Now, we got to get to that point, hopefully at 2-2. But like you said, we play 5 divisional games over a 6-game stretch. You got to find a way to go 3-2 in those divisional games. And I'm not picking on the Redskins, but Redskins fans should have the same mindset that I do. We have to sweep the Redskins. That's our only chance this year. We have to sweep the Redskins, and they have to sweep us. We cannot split with the Redskins. We got to win both those games. We got to find a way to win one of those 2 Eagle games. I think we lose at Dallas. We got to split with the Eagles and then hopefully have a chance to beat the Cowboys week 17. But that is the most important part of the schedule. That 6-game stretch where we play 5 divisional games. And we got to find a way to win 3 out of those 5. Got to. Especially with how tough our out-of-division schedule is this year. Manuel, man, thanks so much, man, for the love, man. I really appreciate it. Any advice for my girlfriend, the Raiders fan? The Raiders fan. I'll tell you what, Manuel. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about what's my thoughts on the Raiders. I was surprised that the Raiders stuck with Carr. I think he's a decent quarterback. He put up decent stats. I didn't like what they did in the draft. Now, I realize it was a rich wide receiver draft class, but they spent 3 of their first 4 picks on the wide receiver position. I didn't like that. I also thought that they reached on Ruggs, and I know Ruggs is a speed demon, and I know that the Raiders historically go for wide receivers that are fast. Darius Hayward-Bay comes to mind off the top of my head, but historically they've always been that way. So I'm not surprised they took him, but I thought it was a reach. I thought Judy or Lamb would have been the better pick there if they were going wide receiver there. I mean, they definitely added some excitement and spark to that offense, but I was not in love with their draft. I was not. But we'll see how it goes. The Raiders definitely have some young talent there, but I wasn't in love with either one of their past 2 drafts. I thought Farrell was a huge reach last year, and I didn't love their draft this year either. But thanks so much for love. Oh, diehard Giants fan, man. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Stop being... Saheed says, stop being a Raider fan. Diehard Giant fan, one of my best. The guy who gave me this jersey. I always like to shout him out. Tana, do you see our 3rd-round pass rushers taking a step up this season? We definitely need them to. Mad respect. I really appreciate that, man. Thanks so much for the love. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm assuming you're talking about O'Shane Ximines from last year, Lorenzo Carter. Listen, at the end of the day, I was talking to Bad Dog on his show. I think it was Bad Dog. I can't remember. I talk so much Giants football. Might have been with Fireside Giants. But regardless, I think the pass rush is going to be generated from the interior defensive linemen and the secondary. I think those are the strengths of this defense. I think it's going to be a blitzing defense, and I think the strong secondary is going to create sacks. Now, Lorenzo Carter, I think, is a very interesting player this year. He, to me, is the guy that I'm really looking forward to this year because he is very boom or bust for me this year. I could see Lorenzo Carter taking off in this defense because he is so flexible. You could use him in so many different ways, but last year it was disappointing. So that's a guy I'm really looking forward to. And I've been on record of saying now for a month that I think O'Shane Ximines is going to lead the team in sacks. I think he's a good football player. I think he's going to have a good year. And yeah, those are 2 big key factors for our defense. If you ask me who's the biggest X factor for the New York Giants defense this year, DeAndre Baker. DeAndre Baker has to be sound at that second cornerback position. I expect the Giants to play a lot of man-press defense, and they're going to ask their corners to be out on single coverage on islands because of all the blitzing they're going to be doing. So DeAndre Baker is going to be a huge X factor for this defense. But thanks so much, Philip, man. I really appreciate it. And Jason Young, man, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Offense needs to run through Barkley 1,500 yards, control the clock, limit turnovers. I want Jones to be like early Wilson or Brady. Few turnovers, clutch play. You're preaching to the choir, Jason. You are preaching to the choir. That's what I've been saying this entire offseason. And I know a lot of Giants fans want to see Daniel Jones chuck the ball for 5,000 yards, 4,700 yards. But that's not, if we're going to win football games this year, we're not going to win it that way. And it has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. It has everything to do with the construction of our football team. We have the best running back in football when he's healthy, at least in my opinion, if not one of the top 2 or 3. And we have a weak defense, at least an inexperienced defense. Defense with some potential, but a defense going into the year, you have to have moderate expectations. How do you hide that defense? Simple. You become a ball control offense, and you set Daniel Jones up for high efficient passing opportunities. So yeah, if the Giants are going to win games this year, Saquon Barkley is going to have an MVP type season. He's going to have a monster year. And it'll only make Daniel Jones' job easier. I'm completely in agreement with you there. L.A. Lou, what's going on, my man? Glad to see you, man. L.A. Lou with the $2 Nation. What's up, Chris? Just know week 4, I can't wait. I can't wait, L.A. Lou. We got you guys week 4, and that should be a fun game. Should be a fun game. I think the Rams, I'm not trying to knock you guys. I think it's a winnable game. I think you guys are definitely favored. We're traveling to L.A. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. 2 young coaches going at it. I'm looking forward to it. And I say all the time, I think the Giants roster is similar to what the Rams had second year of Jared Goff. Now, we don't have Donald. Don't get me wrong, and I'm still trying to get Donald from you guys. But you guys had that supreme running back with Gurley going into, I think, his 3rd year at the time. You had Jared Goff, second-year quarterback, and you had McVay, who was a rookie head coach, who was basically the same age as Joe Judge. So it's a very similar scenario to where we were, where you guys surprised and went 11-5. Now, I'm not saying we're going to go 11-5 because I think you guys had a more advanced team but we're built in a similar way, and I'm looking forward to that game. And SOD, man, thanks so much, man, for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. Top 15 offense or defense this year. Love the vids. Thank you so much. Offense, definitely more realistic than a top 15 defense. I think it's possible we have a top 10 offense. I really do. You know, I don't know if I'm going to predict that or not, but I think it's possible we're going to have a top 10 offense if the offensive line plays the way it should. And that's the other thing. Our defense will be better if our offense is better. So I think the offense is going to have to help the defense. I think the offense is the stronger unit on this football team, at least as of now. Maybe the defense outperforms what I think they're going to do. But last year, we were probably the worst defense in football, so it's hard to expect us to take a jump into the top 15. The offense, I think, will be in the top 15. I think we have a chance to be in the top 10. But thanks so much for the love. Gordon Gecko, what's going on, my man? $5 donation says, respectfully disagree. I won't be mad with 6 wins, and I agree it's about patience, but we will win 9 games. We will play with confidence. Let's go. Listen, Gordon, I love it. I love positivity. I love being optimistic. And like I always do on this channel, I try to think with my brain and not with my heart. Last year, I thought with my heart, you know, and I'm trying to get away from that. Last year, on my predictions before the year started, I said we were an 8-8 football team, and we were nowhere near that. You know, so I'm trying to set the expectations where I think they should be. And if they exceed that, fantastic. Great. I'm hoping we win 16 games. But I'm going in with moderate expectations because I don't want people to be calling for Joe Judge's job. I don't want people to be calling for Dave Gettleman's job. I think that we have to go in with realistic expectations, not to mention we're playing a really difficult schedule. And I hope they win 9 or 10 games. And anything's possible. It's football. I'm going in with 6 or 7. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. Thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate it. And, Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. $5 donation. He says, I also think Love is key. Will he be able to play the single high safety? If Shepard and Ingram stay healthy, we'll put up points. I think Shep will play outside. Love is huge to this defense, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, you know, with Darnay Holmes and him, who's gonna get the majority of the time at the slot cornerback position. Obviously, they're gonna be able to move around Peppers. Peppers could play some linebacker. Everybody's gonna get their time. You got to think of it as a positionless defense. But Love is gonna be a really nice piece for this defense because he's flexible. You can move him around, and I'm looking forward to the kid in year 2. He played great over the last 4 games with the Giants. He's got a lot of ability, a lot of upside. He was a guy I was excited about when we drafted him out of Notre Dame 2 years ago in the 4th round. Seemed like a steal. Sat on the bench for 11 weeks or so, and he played well. And I think he fits this defense very nicely. And yes, of course, health. At the end of the day, people forget New York Giants couldn't stay healthy last year. And then, you know, unfortunately, we never do. But Evan Ingram was hurt. Sterling Shepard was hurt. Saquon Barkley was hurt. If we could stay healthy, maybe we surprise some people. But we got to stay healthy. We never do. So, you know, even Daniel Jones was hurt for 2 games. So we got to stay healthy this year. That has to happen. We cannot have major injuries. Tommy, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I appreciate it. He says, do you think 2 receivers could go for 800 plus this year? I do, if they stay healthy. And the guys that are the most realistic, I would say Slayton. I think 3, actually. I wouldn't be shocked if 3 wide receivers go over 800 yards this year. I think they're going to spread the ball around. I don't think you're going to have a guy more than 1,000, maybe 1,050. But I could see Ingram. I could see Slayton. I could see Shepard. I could see Tate. I could see Barkley, for God's sakes. I definitely could see at least 2, if not 3 guys. I think they're going to spread the ball around. But, like I said, they got to stay healthy. Ingram, I think, is going to be a really nice piece to this offense this year, especially in the Air Coryell offense. So he's going to be a really nice piece for the Giants if he can remain on the football field. I'm looking forward to seeing the way they implement Ingram. And we talk about versatility all the time. Well, think about versatility on offense. You're going to be able to use Ingram in the H-back role, line him up on the outside. He's a guy I'm really excited to see how they use him in this offense. Which undrafted free agent players on D you think has a good shot to make the roster? AJ Marshall asks. On D. I misread that. I'm trying to remember the names. I know they had that edge rusher from, I can't remember the guy's name. They had the edge rusher from, I did a video on him. Can't remember the guy's name. I don't think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be a practice squad guy, the guy I'm thinking of, and I'm sure you guys remember it. He's got a lot of upside, edge rusher. I'm trying to think of defensive guys. Most of the guys, to me, that were impact guys that were undrafted were offensive players. The running back, the wide receivers. Maybe, what's his name? The guy from the XFL. I could see him potentially making the roster, even though we are pretty deep at that safety position. I've read some good things about him. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Darnay Holmes is drafted. And MYG31, man, thanks so much for love, man. He says, I think we will be 7-9 or 8-8. Yeah, I 8-8 to me, it would be great. Coughlin was drafted, but I like Coughlin. I like Carter Coughlin. But yeah, I think 8-8 is reasonable if things break right. I think 5 wins, hopefully at worst, 8 or 9 wins at best. That's what I'm going in with. Yes, Yuri Lelos. A lot of people like him. He's smart. I forgot what university he went to, but he went to a really good university. He's an edge rusher. I got to do more research on him. But yeah, a lot of people like him. Maybe he makes it as a. Oh, is there a new member? Did I miss that? Oh my God, I missed it. Thank you guys for letting me know. Stand up, new member. Harry, welcome to the channel, man. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for joining the channel. Sorry I missed that earlier. Thank you guys for letting me know. 3-13, sorry, maybe 5-11. Yeah, Victor. I don't think 3-13, but I can't blame you for thinking that. When you look at our schedule and the fact that we've won 12 games over our last 3 years, I can't blame Giants fans for feeling that way. You know, I just want to go into the year at least with a little bit of hope. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm continuing to preach patience for a reason. Because I know when this organization isn't patient, I know when the fan base isn't patient, people are going to demand changes. They're going to demand that the New York Giants have a complete overhaul. And I think it's the wrong approach. I've seen my teams do it year in and year out. The New York Knicks do it every year. And it doesn't work. And we brought Gettleman in here to fix the problem. And the problem, I think we need to give him at least another year to fix it. And if I wouldn't have been minded if they fired him when they fired Sherman, they didn't do it. So ideally, I want them back one more year. I want to give this a full 2 years for Gettleman with Judge. But I fully recognize that may not happen. You know, if the Giants win 4 games, probably not going to happen. And hopefully we bring in a guy here, if that's the case, that likes the players that Gettleman has drafted. Otherwise, we're going to be restarting all over again. You know, if he doesn't like Daniel Jones, if he doesn't like Saquon Barkley, Dexter Lawrence, some of these premier players, if they don't fit his philosophy, we're going to be starting all over again. And I don't want that. Let's see what we got here. What's going on, Harrison? Jolly, man. Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on, Rashad? Thank you for being here. New York Knicks have been doing it for 30. Yeah, I know. I know they have. Kristaps Porzingis. What's going on? What's going on? Have you heard? Yes, Gregory Rousseau. I'm going to do a video on him, Muhammad. He's the best edge rusher in next year's class. I've heard ups and downs about him. I've heard some people say good things about him. I got to do more research. I've seen highlights, but he's thought to be the best edge rusher in next year's class. It is a thin edge rusher class. I said clash. It is a thin edge rusher class from what I've read. But that's our biggest need. I would love if if he's the guy next year, that's the guy I would love for us to get our hands on. But like I said in the last stream, I hope we're picking 32. Hopefully he's not even on our radar. Danny, man, thanks so much for loving me. I appreciate it, man. $5 donations. Who do you think is going to have the best career between Burrow, Tua, Herbert, or Love? Danny, that is a great question. And, I'll give you my guess. But to be completely honest with you, Danny, it's impossible for me to know right now. Because it's all, to me, a lot of a quarterback's success has to do with the organization he goes to, the players around him. So right now, out of those 4 quarterbacks, if you ask me who has the best situation, I would say Love. Now, I know Love's not going to play. Love's not going to play right out of the gate. But Love's going to a team, at least as of right now, and I don't know what that offensive line is going to look like in 2 years if they move on from Rodgers. But right now, they have a really strong offensive line. They have a rich history. Herbert and the Chargers is interesting. We'll see what they do there. In terms of talent, it's either Burrow or Tua. I think Burrow and Tua are the 2 most talented quarterbacks in this class. Tua has the injury history. I worry about Tua with the injury history. Burrow I worry about because he's with the Cincinnati Bengals. Name the last time the Cincinnati Bengals had a good quarterback for more than 4 or 5 years. Carson Palmer got off to a great start, then he got injured. But until the Bengals fix up that team, they get the offensive line, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence in Burrow. So it's really tough for me to say, but I would lean Burrow. I think Burrow and Tua are the 2 best. Tua might even be the most talented, but I worry way too much about Tua's injury history for me to say that he is going to be the best. So I would go Burrow 1, and I think Love might be set up to be in the best situation because he's going to be eased in, much like Aaron Rodgers was. He's going to get to learn under one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived. Maybe he steps in there in 2 years and he doesn't miss a beat. But if you ask me right now, I would say Burrow. But thanks so much for love. I appreciate it. Tommy with the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, do you think Golden Tate is a little underrated? I think Golden Tate is... I think Golden Tate is what he is. I think he's a slot wide receiver. I don't think he creates a lot of separation. He's tough. He's able to catch passes in tight windows. That's something that he's very good at. You go back, you look at his numbers even before he got to the Giants. He's always one of the best on yards after contact. One of the best slot wide receivers in football over the last 3 or 4 years. He is what he is. I still think he's a good target, but he's not going to be a guy that, has big plays. But I understood why they brought him in. Now, the problem for Tate, for me, first off, we never knew Darius Slayton was going to take off. Didn't know it. But Tate and Shepard are very similar, so they don't really fit. Now, when they brought Tate in, I didn't like the signing. I think it was $9 million a year for a guy that was approaching 30 on a 4-year deal. I didn't like that, but I thought he fit the offense very well. The West Coast style offense with Shermer, I thought it was a good fit. With this offense, I don't think he's a good fit. Just like Cole Beasley wasn't a good fit with the Cowboys. That's why they got him out of there. I don't love the fit with the New York Giants' new offense with Jason Garrett. Now, maybe they'll implement the offense around him. I think Tate could have a pretty good year this year, but if you ask me, I would guess Tate will be cut after this season to make room for the receiver they bring in and clear up $6 million in space. L.A. Lou, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I really appreciate it. He says, $10 donation. Next call-in, we discuss the misnomers about the Rams losing Gurley, Cooks, and Fowler are in holes. The O-line isn't a weakness. That's for the next call. The Giants will win 8 or 9, but 10, next call. L.A. Lou, man, next time I have a call-in show, I'm definitely going to have you on, and we'll talk about your Rams. We'll talk about some of your strengths and weaknesses. Listen, I don't think Gurley's a big loss for you guys. Gurley was not what he was. He's not what he was. So I don't think Gurley's a big loss for you guys. In terms of the rest, well, Cooks was kind of disappointing for you guys last year. Maybe you could. I wouldn't be shocked if you could fill in for him either. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe the Rams surprise some people. I have a lot of respect for your head coach. I think McVay's one of the best coaches in the game. Let's see what we got here. I think the Giants' defense is going to be so much better than people think, Peter said. I wouldn't be shocked. Pete, here's what I'll say about the Giants' defense. I think they have two potentially strong units. I think the defensive line and the secondary have a lot of potential. There's a lot of factors, though. They're all young, especially in that secondary. They haven't really played together. A lot of those guys are injury prone. It's a new system. But if things click, would I be shocked if they all stay healthy that they're close to an average defense this year, maybe slightly above average, 13, 14, 15, 16? Especially if the offense helps them out and you run the football effectively and we're consistently winning the time of possession. Would I be shocked if we don't have major injuries? I wouldn't be shocked. I think there's talent on that defense. Yeah, Leonard Williams played well with the Giants the last 5 games that he was here. Dexter Lawrence should only get better. And it's all going to come down to the defensive philosophy and how these guys fit, but the offense is going to have to help them out. We can't be getting killed in the time of possession like we have been the last 4 years with the New York Giants. We got to be able to run the football, and we got to be winning the time of possession. But if we do that, we could play complementary football. Maybe we are close to an average defense. We still need a great pass rusher, though. Is Stephon Diggs a big loss for us? What's going on, Taco? Thanks for popping into the stream. Your Vikings. No, you guys brought in Justin Jefferson. So I think he'll fit in just fine. I think that was a great trade. I think it was a great trade for both teams. Being completely honest, and I don't usually feel that way. The Buffalo Bills gave up a ton. They gave up more than they should have. But the Buffalo Bills, to me, and I think higher on the Bills than a lot of people, I think the Bills are close to being a Super Bowl contender this year. And I think the one piece that they needed was Stephon Diggs. They needed a top-tier wide receiver. I think they gave up too much to get him, but I think it was a desperate need, so it made sense for me. And for you guys, you got a ton back for a guy that was giving you guys headaches, and you replaced him with Justin Jefferson. So I think it was a win-win. Saeed, man, thanks so much, Philip, man. I appreciate it. Thoughts on Shermer's reign of ineptitude? Here's what I'll say about Shermer. Shermer, to me, was set up, and I'm not making excuses for Shermer. Shermer's not a good head coach. The reason Shermer became the head coach, if we're being completely honest, and some people may disagree with me, but I'm always going to tell you my honest opinion on this channel. The reason that Shermer became the head coach, in my opinion, was because ownership forced Eli Manning on the head coach. And I think a lot of head coaches didn't want to take the job because of that. And I love Eli Manning. I would never bash Eli Manning. But at the end of the day, if you're a coach looking for a new job, you don't want to take on a 36, 37-year-old quarterback where the timeline doesn't fit the quarterback. He's a guy that needs a good support system. At the time, he had a horrible offensive line. So I think Shermer inherited a situation because he was such a bad head coach at his previous spot that he couldn't succeed. I think he was set up for failure from the start. And that's why I stuck up for the guy last year. As bad of a head coach as he was, I said, if you're being fair, This guy never had an opportunity to succeed here. Now, I'm not making excuses for him. He's a bad head coach. But I think Sherman was set up to fail. And hopefully we don't do the same thing to Joe Judge. That's my opinion on Pat Shermer. Dana, who is your favorite defensive player from this year's draft? And yes, I agree that he's an offensive coordinator. Who's my favorite defensive player from this year's draft? I mean, I got to go Chase Young. You know, I hate that he's with the Washington Redskins, but to me, Chase Young was the best player in this draft, period. I don't even think it's close. I would say Chase Young. I'd probably say Okudah, too. Chase Young 1, Okudah 2. Mark, thank you so much, man, for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. It says, read Holmes' backstory in the Players Tribune. It's wild. I don't know what you read, Mark, but the things that I've read about Holmes, and thank you for love. The things that I've read about Holmes that I love, incredibly intelligent, incredibly hardworking. He's always trying to improve himself as a football player. The guy went and learned how to play chess so he could become smarter on the football field. A great athlete. He ran a 4.48 40. Darnay Holmes, from everything that you read, and you go on any team's website, several teams were all in on this guy. Several teams viewed this guy as a steal late in the draft, and the same can be said for Shane Lemieux. The New York Giants got great value in the 4th and 5th round with the 2 picks that they had. I'm a big fan of Darnay Holmes. I think he's going to have an impact with the New York Giants, and I think he might have. Matter of fact, he may have as big of an impact as any rookie on this roster this year. Now, I know that may seem far-fetched, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. Okay? If you ask me, I would say Thomas or McKinney's going to have a bigger impact, but Darnay Holmes going to have a big impact for this defense this year. I think he's going to get an opportunity to play, and I think he's going to make an impact for the Giants defense. I like him. Heartstorm Media, man. Thanks so much, man, for the love, man. By the way, if you guys haven't gone over there, he's always been a great supporter of my channel. I try to watch as much content as I can from outside, other New York Giants channels. I know he's got his own thing going on over there. It's not just Giants related, but great guy. He's great videos. Great editing skills, by the way. Go over there and check him out. He says, please ask Kristaps Porzingis, does he regret picking that name? He's in the chat now. I'm still trying to figure this out. Kristaps, do you regret the name Kristaps Porzingis? Heartstorm Media wants to know. I like Kristaps Porzingis. I was sick when we traded him. I know he had injury history, but he was the last good player that the New York Knicks drafted in my lifetime. And, early on. So I was upset when we traded him. And Big Bang, man, thanks so much for the love, man. $5 donation says, Ingram, Slayton, Shepard, Tate, and Barkley feel like we have plenty of weapons with a better line. Plays should be more than a solid unit. It all comes down to health, Big Bang, but you're right. With that unit, you got a guy that's a top 5 in terms of catching the football and getting open at the tight end position, a top 5 tight end. You've got a top 3 running back, and then you've got an adequate, I think that's the right word, an adequate receiving core. A middle-of-the-road, maybe slightly below middle-of-the-road receiving core. But when you couple all the weapons together, it's above average, especially when you got an above-average offensive line. It's why I think the offense could be top 10s in the league this year. I'm optimistic about the offense. I think we're headed in the right direction. Do I think we need one more big-time player next year or the year after? Yeah, I think we could use another big-time wide receiver. But we have to fix the more important pieces first. And the more important pieces was the offensive line. Now we got to get an edge rusher. And then we need a wide receiver. So we got to fix the more important pieces first. Gordon, thank you so much for letting me. I appreciate it. $2 donation says, do you think if the offense is top 10, someone hires Garrett? That's a great question, Gordon. I haven't gotten asked that a lot. I got asked that when the Giants first hired Garrett. A lot of people ask me that. Do you think Garrett will leave after a year? I haven't been asked that so much recently. My honest opinion on Garrett, I don't think so. I really don't. I think Garrett, and some of it is probably not all his fault, but I think Garrett has such a poor reputation in terms of being a head coach, and everybody said that he underachieved in Dallas for years, that I think he's going to have to sit out for 2 years before he gets another job. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if the Giants light it up, he gets an opportunity. But the guys that I would actually think on the Giants roster that would have more of an opportunity to get a head coaching job would be guys like Patrick Graham. If the Giants defense exceeds what people think, that seems to be the trend. A lot of teams like to hire these young coaches, smart mind. I could see Graham getting an opportunity if the defense plays better. Shoplinski's been a guy I've talked about. I think Shoplinski one day is going to get an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. I hope he sticks with the Giants for a while, becomes our future offensive coordinator. But those are some guys that I could see getting opportunities. Well, I don't think Garrett will get it after 1 year. Harry with the $2 donation. I appreciate it, man. What's your top 3 wide receivers in Giants history? My top 3 Giant. Okay. Well, I'm only gonna give you since I've been watching the team. I don't go all the way back, but since I've been watching the team since like 93, 94. Since I've been watching the team, Amani Toomer, Odell Beckham, and I mean you go Plaxico, you go Knicks, you go Cruz. I'd probably go Plaxico because Plaxico did it for a little bit longer than those two other wide receivers. Cruz had the greatest year, I say it all the time, in New York Giants history for a wide receiver, but it was really only 1 year, and then he unfortunately had the injury problems. So I'll go, and Burris was instrumental in Eli Manning's development. So I will go a Toomer 1, Beckham 2, and I will go Burris 3. That'll be my order. Thanks so much for the love. Jason Young with the $2 Nation. God forbid if we don't have a season, does it help us? It won't help me as a fan. I'll tell you that. I'll be pulling my hair out. But in terms of the New York Giants, does it help us? I mean, I don't. It wouldn't hurt us. I'll say that. And I hate to say that, but yeah, we're not going into this year with the highest of expectations. And I would assume the rookie contracts wouldn't exceed. I would assume that Daniel Jones would still be on the second year of his 5-year rookie deal, save for Saquon Barkley. So nothing should get pushed ahead there. We're a young team. We're not a veteran team. It wouldn't be the end of the world for a team like the New York Giants. It would be an end of the world for a team that has an older roster that is looking to win a championship this year. I'm trying to think of a team off the top of my head. But yeah, if there's like a team that's up there in age that, I can't think of a team right now. But a team like that, yeah, would definitely affect a lot more than the New York Giants. Obviously, I want football, but I see your thinking there. Let's put it that way. And thank you so much, Danny, with the $5 donation. When is your video on the 2021 draft prospects coming out? Yeah, I'm going to have that up soon. I'm trying to space the videos out because obviously there's not a lot to talk about. I did the cap video today. I'm probably going to do the free agent target soon. I'm going to do the draft target soon for the future. And I always try to come up with different ideas that you guys give me. Obviously, anytime there's any news, I'm going to have something up. But I'll have that up within a week. I'll definitely have that up within a week. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it all in one video or break it down by like wide receivers the Giants could target. I'll probably do it that way, go over like 5 or 6 wide receivers that I could see the Giants targeting in the first 2 rounds next year, edge rushers they could target, stuff like that, just to provide more content. But that, yeah, I'll have future draft, minimal, because we don't even know if these guys are going to perform or if there's going to be a college season. But, the first round prospects, I'll talk about them a bit for sure, and free agent targets. And Danny, man, thanks so much, Philip, man. I appreciate it, man. $2 donation. He says, I'm mad about the Hurts pick as an Eagle fan. There will be a season, no free. I agree with you, Hazelnut, by the way. I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a season. I'm mad about the Hurts pick as an Eagles fan. Listen, I can't, if I'm being honest with you, I can't believe there's Eagles fans that are still defending that pick. I honestly can't, for the life of me, can't. I don't understand it. I don't get how Eagles could defend that pick. It was a horrible pick. I'm still laughing about it today. I'm trying to hold in my laughter now because you're a great subscriber of mine and you're an Eagle fan, but you guys spent a second-round pick. There's a perfect team. The Eagles. The Eagles would be affected more than anybody if there was no season this year. Eagles, they're a pretty old roster. They're not that young. That's a team that would be affected. The Eagles. I didn't understand the Jalen Hurts pick at all. I thought it was a horrible pick. Let's see what we got here. In my opinion, the positions we need to address in order to be competitive are edge rusher, a number 1 wide receiver, linebacker, and a center. What do you think? And the Saints with Breeze. Good call there. Yes. In terms of being affected if we didn't play. In order, I would say, to me, it's edge rusher for sure is number 1. You said wide receiver, linebacker, center. Those are definitely our 4, depending on what order. I think it's the definitive that the edge rusher is number 1. Supreme wide receiver might be number 2 because you're trying to help your young quarterback out as much as you possibly can, similar to what we did with Plaxico Burress with Eli in his second year. We definitely are going to need a center unless one of these guys translate to it and play well, and we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I would say that's the right order. A linebacker as well, yeah, a coverage linebacker. Danny, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. In Dana, we trust. Whatever you do, we will be hyped for. Danny, man, I want to say thank you to all you guys. And obviously, I know the views, it's after the draft, so you don't expect your views to be quite as high and the streams to be quite as high. But you guys still show my channel so much love, so much support. And I cannot wait for football season. I cannot wait. The channel is going to be so much fun. There's going to be so much to talk about. I'm going to have so much live content, so much, so many videos. I have so many ideas for the season. I cannot wait for football season this year. It's going to be so much fun. And it's going to be fun just doing film breakdowns. I'm going to add that to the channel this week, breaking down, even I'm not a professional, but I'll look at 10 or 15 plays each game on both sides of the ball, do videos like that. There's so many great storylines with the coaching staff and everything else. It's going to be such a fun year for the New York Giants and for me to hopefully cover them, so I'm looking forward to it. What's going on, Andrew Christopher? Thanks for popping into the stream, man. Chris, do you think I can be a top 5 safety in the league, Xavier McKinney? I hope so. I don't know if you're going to be playing safety. You're going to be playing all over the place, but I hope so, McKinney. I hope you're one of the top 5 rookies this year. And Joseph Clark, thank you so much for $2 donation. Crazy, but I'm super intrigued by our 6 to 7 round linebackers. What's going on, K-Dog? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Yeah, I mean, the guy that excites me the most, and I think I said I got to get some coffee. Hold on. I got to get the coffee warmer, guys. I got to get the coffee warmer. But the guy that excites me the most out of the 6th and 7th round, Carter Coughlin. Carter Coughlin, from everything I'm reading, from the film I've watched, Carter Coughlin should not have been available in the 7th round. He shouldn't have been available in the 5th round. The New York Giants got a steal. Now, the reason he dropped, in my opinion, is he's system dependent. I think a lot of teams feel like he wouldn't fit their defense, but Carter Coughlin, to me, could have an impact with the New York Giants. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets 4 or 5 sacks this year. I think he was a really good pick in the 7th round. Of all our late round picks, that's the guy I'm most excited about. Misleading story, man. Thank you so much, man, for the love. I appreciate it, man. $5 donation. He says, not enough likes right now. Smash that like button, fellas. Misleading story, man. Thank you so much for being a great supporter of the channel. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and if you guys haven't done so, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. Hope everybody's staying safe out there. Hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday night. And yeah, I'm going to try to continue to do these live streams. Tried to break it up a little bit after the schedule because I want things to talk about with you guys. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all just want to talk sports. And I'll continue to do this twice a week. Probably do it on Mondays and Saturdays with the Giants show mixed in the middle. And another thing I wanted to tell you guys. I know a lot of you guys asked me that you wanted me to start working with other people. And I want to try to get people on these live streams every now and again. Like a new guy. Obviously, I work with Bad Dog every week, but it's nice to get other perspectives. I reached out to Bengal. And Bengal, which I don't know if you guys know him, but the guy's got like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's more of a Madden guy, but he's really well-spoken. He knows the Giants ins and outs. I'm going to work with him. He's going to be on the channel. It's not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded. He prefers pre-recorded because he feels like we'll have a better conversation. But I'm looking forward to working with him, talking about the New York Giants offseason. So I wanted to let you guys know in case you didn't know that. Bengal will be appearing on the channel probably like a week. He said 2 weeks like a week ago. So I'll probably have him on the channel soon. So I'm looking forward to that. And Mark, man, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, our run D will be stout. Conley, also an X factor. I completely agree with you on that. Our run D is paramount for the New York Giants this year. And our run D was actually really good after Leonard Williams got here. Now, granted, I was talking to people in my Discord about this. Kenny, if he's in here. Our run D, it's hard, if you're being fair, we played really poor opponents the last 5-6 weeks of the year when we brought in Leonard Williams. But regardless, our run D was pretty good last year. That was one of the good things about our defenses. Everything else, not so much. But yeah, I agree. Our run D should be good. And Conley will absolutely be an X factor. I was going to do a film review on Conley. I still may. Because I do think he's an X factor for this defense. And I don't know, like 2 months ago, I was just bullshitting and watching film of New York Giants players. And Conley was one of the guys I watched. I forgot what game it was. I think it was like week 3. The guy really has a nose for the ball. When you watch him play, he really has a nose from the ball. And you don't get that when you're watching the game. When you see it from the coach's perspective, he's a good instinctive linebacker. And he's better in coverage than I think people give him credit for. I agree. If Conley's healthy, I think he could be a big help to this defense. And Harry, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. He says, if you could bring back one player from the Giants to play for one season, who would you pick and why? All right, now, granted, I didn't get to see him, but, I mean, any Giants fan's got to answer this the same way. Lawrence Taylor, because he's the greatest football player who ever lived, and maybe I'm a little biased as a Giants fan. I'm not just talking defense. I'm not just talking linebacker. He's the greatest player ever to put on a pair of cleats. So I'm taking Lawrence Taylor, and it's simple because he's going to rip people's heads off. The things that guy did, I mean, that guy was getting like 20 sacks when quarterbacks used to throw the ball like half the time that they do now. He'd be getting 30 sacks in today's NFL when quarterbacks are dropping back to throw 650 times a year. So Oh, I'm going LT. He's a game changer. LT. And Nelson. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. He says, Giants will face the visiting head coaches who are 38 or older. Yes, they will. I don't. Are you trying to say from that comment that the Giants are going to have the youngest head coach? Because I would assume that I think McVay at this point is probably older. Yeah, I mean the visiting head coaches are always going to be older. I don't know. This Judge has got to be up there as one of the youngest head coaches. He's only 38 years old. He's younger than some of the guys that are still playing in the league. But yeah, I love Judge. I'm looking forward to Judge, and we'll see how it plays out, man. But thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. What's going on, Brandon Rogers? Thanks for popping in the stream. Do you keep up with ice hockey? No, but it's something that I want to get more into. People have asked me. I do live streams. I don't know if you guys are new to my channel. I do play-by-plays during the regular season. It's fun. If you guys got nothing to do, you want to come by and, have some fun. I call the games. I call, Monday Night Football, the Giants game, and, we just watch the game together. There's a chat. It's fun. And people have asked me to do that for hockey. I don't know enough about hockey to do that. But it is a sport I want to get more into. I'm not a huge hockey guy. I love going to hockey games. I think hockey might actually be the best live sport to attend. And I don't even like hockey that much. But as far as TV, I just don't get into it because I think I grew up such a big basketball fan. I'm a huge Knicks fan. I didn't get into it, but I do want to watch more hockey. If I had to pick a team, I'd pick the Islanders because I'm from Long Island. New York for life. Thank you so much, man, for the $10 donation. I appreciate it. We appreciate you and your hard work, Tanner. Speaking of appreciate, you're going to appreciate this deal. If you buy one gallon of hummus, you get one for $3 off. You love your freaking hummus, man. I honestly don't know where this came from, the fad. I know it's huge now. It's been used for about 15 years. I don't know where it came from, and we could debate that till I turn blue in the face. But I do enjoy hummus. It just came out of nowhere. Ramon, man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. And I believe our secondary can be something special this year with them safeties. I'm looking forward to the safeties this year. I am. I do. The secondary is, I think, what we're all looking forward to. Now, to be fair, we were all really looking forward to the secondary last year, too, when we drafted DeAndre Baker, when Sam Beal's getting healthy, Julian Love. We were saying, it's the young NYPD. But I do think this is a secondary first off with more experience. All those guys we were excited about last year now have another year of experience. They should fit this defense better, or at least we're hoping they do. And you bring in McKinney, who has a lot of talent, was a first-round talent, best safety in this year's draft by most expert standards. So you pair him, and you hope Pepper stays healthy. I'm excited about the secondary. I am, and I'm excited about the D-line. I'm excited about Dexter Lawrence. I think Dexter Lawrence could play really well for the Giants. And Leonard Williams, I think, could play really well for the Giants. So there's reasons to be optimistic about at least the future of this defense. I agree there. And Mark, man, thanks so much for letting me. I appreciate it. Let me just see what Hitbit says. Chris, do you think the Jets' best receiver right now, Rashard Perryman, Denzel Mims, or Jamison Crowder? I think they're all about the same. I think it's kind of like the Giants. I don't think you guys have, a standout number one. I think you got a bunch of pretty good receivers. Mark, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. He says, Martinez will have free lanes to the ball carrier because our run D is so good. Leonard makes everyone else better. I'm glad we brought in familiar pieces. It's a great point. Our defensive line is only going to make the linebackers' jobs easier if they're as good as we anticipate that they're going to be. And Dalvin Tomlinson is a guy we haven't even talked about. He's one of my favorite players on this defense. So, yeah, hopefully Martinez is a good fit. You guys who watch my channel, I wasn't in love with the Martinez signing when they brought him in because of his coverage skills. What you saw on tape in 2019 and what you heard about and everything else. And then you found out he played pretty well with Patrick Graham in terms of coverage and hopefully with a really strong defensive line. And he even was on record as saying that he thinks he could play better in this system when he's asked to do things to, amplify his strengths. And, hopefully that's the case. I think Martinez could be better than some people initially gave him credit for, myself included. I definitely think he's an upgrade over Alec Ogletree. I've been having some family problems. I'm sorry to hear that, Christian Pena. Chris Owen says, do you think we could get Jamar Chase? Chris, the only way we're getting Jamar Chase is if we're picking top 6, 7. I mean, who knows how it plays out, but more than likely, you got to be picking top 6 or 7, and we might be. Yeah, if we are, we definitely could. We definitely could, and it's going to depend on probably what we do in free agency leading up into that. Do we sign a receiver in free agency, or do we sign an edge rusher, or do we sign neither? So I think edge rusher or wide receiver is probably what you're looking at next year's draft, unless they're in love with a tackle. I would never rule that out. L.A. Lou, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I appreciate it. He says, the key to your defense this year is Patrick Graham. Betcher was your weakness last year. McVay is okay, so he is still really young. I knew McVay was really young when you guys hired him. And hummus is the Jewish guacamole. Okay, I didn't realize McVay was still that young. I knew he was the youngest head coach when you guys hired him. So, and what else did you say? Yeah, that's a great point you bring up. The defensive coordinator is probably the most important part of our defense, and Joe Judge is the most important part of our football team. The coaching changes, we hope, makes a huge impact to our football team this year, and of course, health. We stay more healthy. The coaches make a bigger impact. I don't deny that the Giants might even be a 3 or 4 wins better than last year's team. The problem is their schedule is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And that's why I'm trying to go in with moderate expectations. But I think we're a much better football team. I really do. But thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. Oh, that Riot Clan, man. Thank you so much, man. Stand up, new member. And I want to give a quick shout out to Lloyd, one of my best subscribers in the chat. He says, Jamar Chase or Greg Rousseau. I'll wait until I get to do more research on the guys. But if you're asking me what I would rather have, if I feel Greg Rousseau's an elite pass rusher, I'd rather have Greg Rousseau. I think an edge rusher is a more important need right now. But it depends. You know, do the Giants feel he's going to be an elite edge rusher? But if they do, I want the edge rusher. And SOD Cheese was with the $2 donation. And thank you so much, Riot Clan. He says, Barkley, 2,300 yards this year. Jones, over 3,000. Jones is definitely going to have over 3,000. I mean, quarterbacks nowadays, if you play 16 games, you get 3,000 yards in your sleep. So Jones definitely going to have over 3,000. Jones is going to be right around 4,000. In terms of Barkley, if you're talking scrimmage yards, I think that's probably his peak. I think he's going to be between 2,000 and 2,300 scrimmage yards. I think Barkley's going to have a huge year. I think you're talking at least 1,400 yards on the ground, minimum, if he plays all 16 games. And I think you're talking minimum 600 yards through the air. And it could be higher. It could be 1,600 and 700. It could be 1,800 and 600 or 500. I think he's going to have between 2,000 and 2,300 scrimmage yards. I think Barkley's going to have a big year. And Saeed, man, thanks so much for the love, man. He says, do you ever watch anime? To be honest with you, not really. Didn't ever really get into the anime. I know a lot of the younger generation loves the anime. I know Fish Vegas loves the anime. My roommate that I used to live with loved the anime. I never got into the anime, the whole Dragon Ball Z thing. I did not. But thanks for love. I appreciate it. And Baruch with the, thank you so much, man, for becoming a member. Stand up, new member. And for all the new members, just so you're aware, I just want to let you guys know, since you just joined, you probably don't know this. Once a month, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're being left out, but people that support my channel like to do something. So once a month, I do a monthly giveaway. I do a private stream. I still owe the guy who won from last year because of the whole pandemic thing. So I'm going to have to get your fitted hat out to him, and whoever wins Monday, I'm doing the stream on Monday. So hopefully you guys show up for that, and hopefully you win a fitted hat. But yeah, I'll be getting those out to you hopefully in a couple of months once this pandemic's over. So yeah, hopefully you tune in for that. Gordon Gecko, man, thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it. How fast do you think Colombo can get Parrott ready? Man. Listen, I love Parrott. I love Parrott. I don't think Parrott's going to play this year. I mean, in a perfect world, Gordon, Parrott's not going to play this year. I don't want Parrott to play this year. I think he needs another year of development, and I think we have the roster. That's what's so great about our roster. We have the roster that's going to allow him to develop. We're not going to have to force him in. He's going to get to sit and learn. You know, he's a developmental project with a lot of upside. It's why he went in the third round. Let him learn. Let him sit behind Cam Fleming or Nate Solder for the year. Then you bring him in 2021. I honestly don't want him to play this year. I only want him to play maybe the last 3 or 4 games, but I don't want him to be in the starting lineup for at least the first 11 or 12 games of the year. I want him to sit. I want him to learn. I want him to get better. And obviously, it's important to have experienced guys out there this year to protect Daniel Jones. But I'm a huge fan of Parrott. I think Parrott could be a very good tackle for the next decade for the New York Giants. I really do. Tana, what do you think about David Mayo? I think David Mayo, if I'm being honest, he might not be on this team next year. I like David Mayo. David Mayo was a really good player for us last year. You know, in terms of what we expected, he played better than what we expected. He was serviceable. A guy that we really brought in for depth and special teams, played decent at the middle linebacker position. I was happy we brought him back for depth purposes, but I think he's kind of like insurance for Ryan Conley. If Ryan Conley proves he's the guy this year, I don't think they keep Mayo. I think they probably cut him. He doesn't carry a dead cap hit the following year. And I think you could find another David Mayo in the draft. But I like him. He's a guy that could step in if somebody goes down this year and play the linebacker position. I worry about him and Martinez next to each other because then you're going to get burnt up the middle. But, yeah, he's a serviceable linebacker. I have nothing against Mayo. Let's see what we got here. How do I watch Thursday Night Football without the NFL Network? I don't have the chat. Well, sometimes they show it on I think most of the time nowadays they show it on national TV, Thursday Night Football, if I'm not mistaken. I know that they show it on the NFL Network, but I think most of the time they show it on national TV. Yeah, Mayo's okay. He's okay. Do you think we could get Jalen in the first round? Only if he drops to the second. I don't think he's dropping in the second, James. People ask me that on Bad Dog Stream. And, things are going to change. If you would ask me, do I think A.J. Epinesa... I remember when I did the video about A.J. Epinesa, like 3 weeks before the draft, I said, could he fall to the second round? He fell past us in the second round. So, you're asking me a year in advance. There's no way I'm going to be able to project where these guys are going. But if you look on the mocks right now, he's going in the first round. So, right now, I would tell you we probably wouldn't be able to get him in the first round. In the second round, rather. What's going on, Moose? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on, Neymar? Thanks for popping in the stream. Moose! No, you're the man. Thank you for being here. But Chris, I'm going to be as good as Jamal Adams. You're going to be better than Jamal Adams. Don't you ever discount your ability, Xavier McKinney. You're going to be better than Jamal Adams. No, I hope you're as good as Jamal Adams. I never try to trash the Jets when I don't have to. Once in a while, I like to rub it in. But Jamal Adams is one of the best safeties in the sport. So, McKinney, if you're as good as Jamal Adams, sign me up. I'll be very happy with that. Chris, we need one more wide receiver. I agree. And I think it'll happen next year. I think we'll draft one or sign one in free agency. Greg, I hope Conley becomes back. I like Conley. What's up, Dino King Striker? Love that name. Dino King Striker. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Have you seen Oregon State? I have not. HHC Lunar. I have not seen him yet. Should the Giants get John Ross? The Bengals declined his fifth-year option on him. Sebastian, people have asked me about John Ross. I'm not a fan of John Ross. I'm really not. I honestly don't see the fascination with John Ross. I hear a lot of people asking me about him, and I know he's a former first-round pick, and I know he's got speed. He's got 10 touchdowns over his last 2 years, but he's got like 500 combined yards. He's got nothing. The guy's been nothing in the NFL. I'd rather have Corey Davis, the guy I talked about. If you're going to sign a free agent, Corey Davis at least displayed. The guy had a 900-yard season, and he's been in a really poor situation. Mariota's not a good quarterback. They're a team that tries to run the football. I think he fits our offense better. I'm not a fan of Russ. I'm not. I'm really not. I appreciate that, Alex Sportsman. Thank you so much for popping in the stream. What's up, Vance? Sopranos are great. I love both of them. Sopranos and Breaking Bad are both classic shows. I'll slightly go Breaking Bad, but they're both phenomenal. Breaking Bad's probably my favorite show ever. Let's see what we got here. Next year's draft, a center and a big-bodied wide receiver. Forget about John. I don't want John Ross. He's fast, whatever, but we just picked up a fast wide receiver, undrafted free agent. That's basically what Russ is. I don't want Russ. What's going on, Vance? Hope you're shaving. You always shave when you're in my streams. What's up, Alex, man? Good to see you, man. Hummus overdose is a thing. Juju Smith. I don't see us getting Juju Smith. I really don't. I made that video because a lot of people asked me to. That's why I make it, because I make videos that you guys want to hear. So I make it, but I don't think we're getting Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to cost $19-20 million. I know he's a very popular player. He's not going to be a Giant. Anything's possible, but I don't think he's going to be a Giant. I'd be surprised. Do you think Jones will break out? Jones to me, Kristaps, there's no way I can scroll up. There's too many people in here. Jones to me is the X factor to this team. And again, I'm not trying to put, way too high of expectations on the kid. But if the Giants are going to surprise people this year, Daniel Jones is going to have a huge season. Daniel Jones, if the Giants are going to make the playoffs this year, Daniel Jones is going to have to play one of the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the league. That's what I think will need to happen for the Giants to make the playoffs. And I'm not bashing Daniel Jones. I don't think he's ready for that yet. I hope he is. I hope he does that. But for him to do that, it's going to go back to Saquon Barkley, which somebody said earlier. I forgot who, Jason Young, I think. Saquon Barkley is going to have to play out of his mind. It's going to make Daniel Jones' life that much easier. But Daniel Jones will have to take that second-year leap, similar to a guy like Carson Wentz, similar to a guy like Jared Goff in his second year. And if he does that, maybe we win some games that we don't expect. Predict the amount of sacks we're going to get for 2020. Oh, God, McKinney, that's tough. I'll say this. Bold prediction, hot take. I think the New York Giants will be around middle of the pack in team sacks, but they won't have a guy with more than 8 or 9. I think they're going to be a team that gets a lot of sacks. Not a lot, but they get a decent amount of sacks, but it'll be a collective effort. They're not going to have a 15-sack guy. That's what I'll say. What do you think about the Penn State? Everybody loves everybody likes Parsons. Everybody likes him. Yeah, I mean, from what I've read and seen, I like him. I don't know a ton about him, but him and Rousseau are the two guys that everybody talks about. I'm going to do more research on both those guys, and I'll be talking about them within the next week. Oh, Greg, man, thank you so much, man. Greg is a great supporter of my channel, man. Thank you so much. $10 donation. He says, if you are Mara and our win total is marginally improved, or even what does progress look like to make him feel like directional improvement has been made? Greg, I'm going to be completely honest with you because I don't lie on my channel. I think they need 6 wins, minimum, get him to keep his job. I think that's what you're hinting at there. That's what he wants. Otherwise, Gettleman's going to be fired. He's not going to fire Joe Judge. For me, what I want to see the offensive line improve. I don't want to give up the most pressures at the tackle position this year in football. I want to see at least an adequate average offensive line. I want to see where we could control the clock, at least in half of our contest this year with our strong running back. I want to see strong, or at least a defense that's improving over the course of the year. I want to see Daniel Jones improve his pocket awareness, improve the fumbling problem. Those are the things I'm looking for. I'm not even looking at the win total this year. Obviously, I want to win games. But to me, that's how I'm going to measure the progress of this football team this year. I'm not going in with lofty expectations. But if you're asking me what Mara wants, Mara's going to want at least 6 wins. Otherwise, I think Edelman will be gone. Do I think it's the right decision? No, I don't want change. I want at least one more year with sustainability. Judge and him just got a relationship. I want to keep it together for one more year. I think they had a good job this offseason. I don't think Gettleman's going to be here much longer. For everybody that hates Gettleman. But I want to see him here for one more year with Judge, have one more strong draft, and then maybe you bring in your GM of the future. That's my mindset. Am I going to cry if they fire him if they win 4 games? I can't defend them at that point. But I want sustainability. I want them to see the plan through. That's just my mindset. And Ligma, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I'm your youngest sub. I don't know if you're my youngest sub. I have a lot of young subs. And Ligma, you shouldn't be donating if you're only 10 years old. Your mom's going to kill you. But Ligma, I appreciate you. You're always tuning into my live streams and always in my Discord. I always appreciate all the support you show me, man. Thank you so much. Chris, how's your 43rd day of Has it been that long? My God. Yeah, actually, you know what? To tell you the truth, it feels longer. It really does. It feels longer than 43 days. It feels like 90 days. It sucks, but you know what? We're getting used to it. We're going to get through it. And that's all you can do, man. Just stay safe, and hopefully this gets better. It will get better. It's just a matter of when. Hopefully it gets better soon. But King, thank you so much, man, for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. He says, Luan, you should start a YouTube channel because Giants fans would love you. You and Fisk agree that Giants get out to a 6-0 start. I love Fisk. I hope Fisk makes me look like an idiot. I hope he makes me look like a buffoon. I am praying that you guys are right. I do not think they're starting 6-0, but I hope you're right, Luan. And King with the $5 donation. Can't watch, bro. Great vids. Dave Gettleman should keep his job, especially since Reese was here so long and so bad. Yeah, I mean, Sonor's in here, by the way. I wanted to shout him out. And again, I'm sorry if I don't see all you guys. I try to talk to you guys as much as I can during the stream. Thank you to everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. But yeah, King, I'm with you, man. I want sustainability. I want at least another year. I would have been okay with firing him when they fired the coach, Shermer, and started from scratch, but they didn't do that. And that's what I said when they fired Shermer. I said I probably would have fired Gettleman, and I like Gettleman. I would have went for a fresh start because now you have a GM and a coach not on the same timeline, similar to when we had Jerry Reese. But to Dave Gettleman's credit, he didn't take the win-now approach that Reese did. He thought about the future, and I credit him for that. Let's see what we got here. I want to start my own channel. I know, Luann, you should. Lemieux or Parrott? What's up, Johnny T, man? Thanks for popping into the stream, man. Lemieux or Parrott? I would go Parrott, but I think both of them could be really good. It's way too early to say. But, both of them, if you go back and look, Lemieux was ranked one of the top 5 or 6 interior linemen in this year's draft. That's including the center position. Now, I know it was a weaker class in terms of the guard spot, but he was pretty highly thought of. A lot of people thought he could be a third-round pick. So both of them were really highly thought of. Obviously, Parrott plays a more important position. I think Parrott has higher upside. Lemieux might be a little bit safer, might have a higher floor, but I would say Parrott has a higher upside than Lemieux. And James, man, thanks so much for the $2 donation. I really appreciate it. Who do you think will be our best pass rusher? I think it's going to be Zimenez. I think Zimenez is going to lead the team in sacks. Last year I was right. I got Marcus Golden right. And if Golden's back, maybe I'll change my tune. Maybe I'll say Golden will lead the team in sacks. But right now I'm going Zimenez. I'll say around 8. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a collective effort. I think we're going to get pressure on the quarterback, but I don't think you're going to have any 12, 13 sack guys. Yeah, I'll go Zimenez slightly. I think you're going to have a lot of guys between 5 and 8, but I'll go with O'Shane. I think he's going to take a big step this year. Mark with the $5 donation. I appreciate it, man. He says, DJ looked great in college, and we saw last year what Dave saw. Pocket awareness comes naturally from experience. Also a year to self-reflect on film. Great point. And Daniel Jones, here's the reason why the New York Giants brought Daniel Jones in. 1, he's incredibly intelligent. Okay, the guy went to Duke, very smart kid. 2, he's a hard worker. 3, he learned from the same coach that Eli Manning did. Obviously, the Giants are comfortable with that, right? With Cutcliffe. And 4, I think the New York Giants looked at Daniel Jones and they saw a guy that they think could deal with the New York spotlight. And not every quarterback could do that. Mark Sanchez folded like a cheap suit, okay, once he got pressure in New York. That is something that's incredibly important when you bring in a quarterback to play for a New York franchise. Daniel Jones so far has handled it beautifully. You're talking about a guy, and I was guilty of it on draft night, but even after draft night, like 2 months after the fact, he got booed at Yankee Stadium. This guy, he's already dealt with a lot of pressure. I like Daniel Jones. I think he's going to deal with the media very well. I think that was a big reason why the Giants brought him in as well. I think he's going to be a really good leader for this football team. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Let's see what we got here. Alex, that is true. He did run into a lineman's ass. Rush or Tanny? You know what? A lot of people have asked me to make that video. I'll probably make that video tomorrow, maybe the day after. A lot of people have asked me to make that video talking about the quarterback situation behind Daniel Jones. Who should be the backup quarterback? I'll probably make that video. I'll dive into the numbers and everything. But here's what I'll say about Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush got so much backlash. And I said this when Fireside Giants came on my podcast yesterday. Twitter is the most toxic place known to man. The Giants signed Cooper Rush, and Twitter lights it up like a Christmas tree. They say it's the worst move known to man. Cooper Rush was a good signing. Cooper Rush was a very good signing by the New York Giants, whether or not he makes the team, for the simple reason he's familiar with Jason Garrett's offense. What better to bring in a quarterback that could show Daniel Jones the ropes? That's why they brought him in. Do I think Rush could be the backup quarterback? It's possible. Could he make the roster? He definitely could. I'm hoping he does. I'm sick of Tanny, to be honest with you. But the one thing I'll say about Tanny, he and Daniel Jones obviously have a very good relationship. They ate Thanksgiving dinner together last year. And I think that's why he remained on the roster as long as he did last year. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think Rush was a good pickup by the Giants, if for nothing else, to help him out, during training camp. Should the Giants sign Watson if DJ has a bad season? Are you talking about Deshaun Watson? My God, I'm not even thinking about that. And I don't know why the Texans would ever let him go. And maybe he'll want to leave there, but I don't know why the Texans would ever let him go. So I'm not. Usually quarterbacks like that don't hit the open market. So I think DJ's our quarterback. Appreciate the follow back on Twitter. Of course, Sam, man. I appreciate all you guys who follow me on Twitter. I always try to follow you guys back. I think Colt McCoy is a better bet as your back. I agree. I think McCoy's going to be the backup. Right now going in, Colt McCoy's going to be the guy's been a backup now for like 8 years, and within the division. Colt McCoy's definitely the favorite going in, Lou, for the backup quarterback. Let's see what we got here. Do you think Xavier McKinney could win Defensive Rookie of the Year? Oh, wow. No, probably not, if I'm being completely honest. Do I think he could have a big impact for the Giants? Yes. But I think Chase Young is far and away the favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Anything's possible, but if you're asking my honest opinion, probably not. I'm picking Chase Young. How many running backs do we have? Xavier McKinney just got upset. Xavier, you're going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. What am I talking about? I was kidding. How many running backs do we have right now? At least 4 if you include the fullback position are going to make the roster. Probably 5. 4 or 5. We'll see. Last year it was 4. I think 5 are going to make it this year. But we'll see. I think Payne's got a good shot to make the roster. I think he can make an impact on special teams. But 4 or 5. Saheed, man, thank you so much for love, man. I appreciate it, man. $2 donation. Possible Madden rebuild episode with Bangle. The first thing I'm going to do with Bangle is just going to have him on the channel. We're going to talk about the Giants off-season. That's going to be a, just like an interview like I've done in the past with other YouTubers and people like that. But maybe I'll talk to him about that, say that my subscribers are interested in that. If he likes working with me, I've never worked with the guy yet. Hopefully he does. And yeah, maybe he would have me on to do a Madden rebuild with him. I've never done that before, but a lot of my subscribers have asked me to do that. I'd always be open to working with anybody on YouTube, but I say it all the time. I don't care if you got 100 subscribers or 1,000,000 subscribers. I'm always open to working with anybody, and always open to trying to do things that you guys want to watch. So, yeah, I'd be open to that. Let's see what we got here. What's our offensive line gonna rank? I hope at least league average. I'm thinking it could be top 10 or 12, but I'm hoping at least league average. I know last year they ranked like. I think we were like, I forget, according to, and who knows what you go by. I mean, PFF, I think, ranked this like 20th, but Football Outsiders, I think, ranked this 19th against the pass or 19th against the run and like 22 against the pass. But the Giants surrendered the most pressures at football at the tackle position. That's the stat I looked at. That's got to improve. So I'm hoping we're at least league average this year. Yeah, I'm working with Bengals, Supermo. We're going to be 8-8 team. Drop Williams, sign Clowney, top 10 defense, Pete says. I hope so. I don't think we're going to get Clowney. I really don't. I read an article today, actually, and I think this was incorporating the money that's going to be allocated to Golden. Golden is going to get $5.5 million if we bring him back, or right around there. But the Giants right now only have $3.5 million in cap space if you account for that and account for, I guess, a couple of other things that haven't been accounted for yet, whatever it may be. But we don't have that much cap space right now. Obviously you could always try to maneuver things, but the rumor has it that the Eagles are in on Clowney right now, along with the Seahawks. I'm hoping the Eagles don't get him, because I do think Clowney would be a nice piece for them. If the Jets can go 9-7, then we can go to the playoff. Yeah, if the Jets go 9-7, if anybody goes 9-7, they're probably gonna make the playoffs with the extra playoff seed. Yeah. What's up, Jake? Jake, I don't know. I know I missed your questions a lot last time. I was trying to look for you in the chat. I see there. Hopefully you weren't asking that for an hour. He says, which defensive player has the best chance to make the Pro Bowl? Jake, the defensive player that has the best chance to make the Pro Bowl in the New York Giants, I got to go with Bradbury. I got to go with Bradbury going in. I mean, Bradbury's got the most experience. To me, he's an above-average cornerback. I got to go with Bradbury. There could be a couple of guys. Maybe Leonard Williams really surprises and plays a lot better in the interior defensive line. Maybe Dexter Lawrence takes that next huge step forward. But if I had to pick a guy right now today, I think I'd pick James Bradbury. I think he'd be my pick. And it could be Peppers. Peppers is a good one, too. Let's see what we got here. Chris Leone says, do you think we should change our jerseys next year? I'll tell you what. A lot of my subscribers have asked me that. And I saw a poll come out. I think it was on Giants Wire. I think the Giants ranked like the 27th worst jerseys in football. You know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care what the jerseys look like. I'm going to root for the team no matter what the jerseys look like. But if they went back to the old school with the old school jerseys from the 90s, the early 90s, I'd be completely fine with that. I love those jerseys. I think they look beautiful. I even like the Giants wording on the side of the helmet. I would like the retro jerseys if they made that their permanent jerseys. I'd be completely fine with that. Maybe make a couple of alterations to it. But I don't need anything extravagant. I know people are excited about the Jets jerseys. Maybe they'll grow on me. I wasn't a big fan of them. But if they went back to the old school Giant jerseys, I'd be all on board with that. James, thank you so much with the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, how do you feel about Caden Smith? Starter, I think maybe you meant starter spot. Caden Smith to me is going to be used in 2 tight end sets for sure. Obviously, Evan Ingram's still going to be used as the starting tight end, but they could definitely have a lot of times where they, either have a 2 tight end set where they line Ingram out wide right. Toilolo's the other guy I'm really excited about as well. I think Toilolo, obviously, I think is going to be there in goal line situations. He's a very good blocking tight end. He's also a good guy around the goal line. He's 6'7", and supposedly has good hands. Not great separation skills, not a great route runner, but could be a good goal line target for Daniel Jones. So Toilolo is another interesting weapon, here and there in the game. I don't think he's going to have more than 20 catches, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they use him, and I think he'll be a really good blocker for Saquon Barkley. And Caden Smith is a guy that had great chemistry with Daniel Jones last year. I'm very confident with Caden Smith as an all-around tight end. He was known for his blocking. That's why he got drafted. So he's a pretty good blocker to begin with. And, he showed that he could catch the football. So I like Caden Smith. Caden Smith might be our future tight end if we don't plan on having Evan Ingram in, here long-term. So, and if Ingram goes down, I think Caden Smith could step in and play pretty well. Let's see what we got here. Do you think Odell is going to act like a diva when we play them fights, etc.? Of course. Of course he is. No, I don't know if he is. But if I'm you want my game plan, and I should know this I should know this as a Giant fan. You know how you get Odell Beckham? You punch him in the mouth. He doesn't like physical football play. You talk trash. That's what the Giants should do. DeAndre Baker's a physical corner. Get up there on the line of scrimmage, whether it's Baker, whether it's Bradbury. Get physical with him. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like to get pushed around. So get physical with him at the line of scrimmage. I'd be down. He is great. He is great. Pete, and thank you so much for the donation. He is great. He's another guy. I'd love to have him on my football team. Absolutely. But Toilolo's a guy that I think is being overlooked by some people. I think he could be a really underrated signing by the New York Giants. I like him. But yeah, no, he's another great. Chris, I feel that Sterling is going to break out. That's what Bad Dog said yesterday. If he stays healthy, he could. Sterling Shepard is perfect for today's NFL. You can line him up on the inside. You can line him up on the outside. He's a great blocker. He's a tough wide receiver. He's got to avoid the concussions. But Sterling Shepard could have a breakout year, but we say that every year. It's the same thing with him and Evan Ingram. Until I see them stay on the field for 16 games, I ain't going to commit to it. It's been, 3-4 years now? You got to stay on the field. But I do like Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard's a great guy, one of my favorite Giants. I hope he stays on the field. That's all I'll say about Sterling Shepard. If he does, he could easily be our number one. Jay Fed, I agree. He's too small to play outside full time. But I think he's a guy you can move around. I agree. Most of his work has to be on the inside. But I don't know if he's an exclusively, a slot wide receiver. Don't Giants fans hate the Jets and vice versa? I don't hate the Jets. I know some Giants fans might. And I know Jets fans hate the Giants. I honestly don't get it. We don't play each other. We're not rivals. I just think there's a little New York rivalry or whatever it may be. I've never had any ill will towards the Jets. I have a lot of family members that are Jets fans, a lot of friends that are Jets fans. I don't look at them as a rival. I look at the Cowboys as a rival, the Redskins as a rival, the Eagles as a rival. I have no reason to not like the Jets. Now, their fans might annoy me sometimes, and I love a lot of their fans. They have a lot of really good fans too, but I've never had issues with the Jets, ever, my whole life. I honestly don't see the reason to have a rivalry, but everybody's different, like I said. And Pete, man, thank you so much, man, for becoming a member, man. I really appreciate that, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate that. Big Daddy says, I've always been... Yeah, I've never seen the reason to hate the Jets. That's just me, though. And Mark with the $2 donation. I appreciate it. Jets hate the Giants because the Victor Cruz game. Well, that's true. That's true. I'll tell you the one time, and Hitbit, I love Hitbit. Hitbit's awesome. I'll tell you the one time that I did not like the Jets. I'll be completely honest with you. Outside, and it wasn't because they were good. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with Rex Ryan. When Rex Ryan was the head coach for the New York Jets, I couldn't stand the Jets. Couldn't stand them. And it had nothing to do with because they were winning football games. I liked the Jets when Vinny Testaverde was the quarterback. Bill Parcells was the coach. You're going 12-4. I could not stand Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan came in here, was talking about that he owned the town and everything else. That is the one time where I did not like the New York Jets. But outside of that, I've never had any issue with the New York Jets. JC Young, man, thank you so much for becoming a new member, man. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel, man. I appreciate it. What made you pick the Giants as your favorite New York football team? What made me pick the Giants as my favorite New York football team? Well, my dad was a Giants fan when I was growing up. I probably had something to do with it, but I mean, I say it all the time. You know, I probably became basketball was my first love. You know, in terms of being a fan. Growing up as a kid, I was born in '85. Those early Knicks teams in the '90s, that was my first love. I loved the Knicks from like '92 to '96, '97. I was infatuated with the Knicks. Now, I liked football, but I wasn't a diehard. Started picking up the game of football in terms of, you know, I watched all the playoff games. I watched the Giants, but I became a diehard Giants fan around 96, 97. That's when I started really getting into the Giants. Tiki Barber was my first player that I fell in love with. And then Eli Manning just cemented it for me. You know, so I say it all the time, Eli Manning is my favorite athlete ever. I got drafted by the Giants when I was 18. Yeah, and that, I think, you know, I became a diehard before Eli, but that, you know, put me over the top. That made me like a crazy diehard. And I just always liked the Giants. You know, I just like their organization. I've always liked the Giants. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Tiki Barber was great. How many yards and touchdowns does Slayton have this year? Zach, I think Slayton's going to have, I said this in a video, slightly over 1,000 and 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to average a lot of yards. I don't think he's going to have a ton of catches, but I think he's going to have a lot of yards. I think he's going to average like 17 yards of reception, similar to like what Gallup did last year. Look at Michael Gallup's stats with the Cowboys. I think Slayton's going to be used in a very similar way. I think Gallup had like 60 catches for over 1,000 yards. I could see Slayton doing something like that, like 60 catches, maybe close to 1,100 yards and 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a good year for the Giants. I really do. What's up there, GOAT? Thanks for popping in the stream, GOAT. Shepard could retire next season if he gets a few. I agree. He was close to retiring last year. His wife wanted him to retire last year. So I agree. Gordon, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate that, man. $5 donation. He says, which was the best chance of happening? Jones, top 10 quarterback. Jimenez, over 10 sacks. Slayton, 10 receiving touchdowns. Hold the team to under 10 points. Giants get 10 wins. Wow. Okay, let me think about this. The best chance of happening. Slayton, 10 receiving touchdowns. I think that's possible. I'm going to be honest with you. I think all of those are possible. I think the Giants could hold anybody to 10 points on any given week. Do I think they'll do that consistently? No. I think it's possible Jones could become a top 10 quarterback this year. I think it's possible Jimenez could have 10 sacks, and I think it's possible Slayton could have 10 touchdowns. Now, not all of them are going to happen. But if you're asking me what's the most possible, you know what? Maybe I'm going to sound crazy. I think Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones of all those is the most possible. I think Daniel Jones could become a fringe top 10 quarterback this year, and I think it's fairly realistic. I'm not trying to set expectations too high, but what the Giants did for him fixing the offensive line, out of those options, I'll either say Jimenez 10 sacks or Daniel Jones top 10 quarterback. And Subo, man, stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel, Subo, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. LA Lou, man, you have a great night, man. Thank you so much for tuning in the stream. Holding the team under 10 points. Yeah, Steve, you're probably right. Holding the team under 10 points. I just wanted to say something good about Daniel Jones. I want Daniel Jones to do well this year, but you're probably right. But here's what I talk when I talk about the top 10 quarterbacks, and I'm not trying to get GOAT upset. I'm not. I just like to be honest, guys. This is the weakest top 10 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. It just is, because you look at the turnover at the quarterback position. All the good quarterbacks are either really old or they've retired. Breeze is ready to move on. Brady's ready to move on. Roethlisberger's ready to move on. Eli retired. Rivers ready to move on. Andrew Luck retired. All these top quarterbacks are done, and now we're getting an influx of new quarterbacks. So I don't think it's crazy for Daniel Jones to be a top 10 quarterback, because to be honest with you, I think guys that are top 10 quarterbacks right now are more like top 15 quarterbacks when the league's at a normal area of, normal time when it comes to talent at the quarterback position. Dak Prescott right now is a top 10 quarterback. I don't think most of the time he is a top 10 quarterback. And I'm not trying to upset Cowboy fans. I'm just being honest. So I don't think it's crazy to think Daniel Jones could be a top 10 quarterback. I think quarterbacks are weak right now in the NFL. Just my opinion. Let's see what we got here. Well, Mahomes is great, but not everybody's Mahomes. Mahomes is far and away the best quarterback. Yeah, Cam Newton is done. Yeah, another one. Fisk, what's going on, my man? Hold on, I got to give Fisk a mod. If you guys haven't done so, go on over to Fisk's channel and subscribe. I'm looking forward to doing a pod with him soon. He says, who would you compare Andrew Thomas to? You know what? The guy that everybody, the name that you always hear about Andrew Thomas is Jason Peters. That's the guy. And Jason Peters was obviously a staple for the Eagles for a long time. Good left tackle. And that's what I think. I don't think he's going to be, the best of the best. I think he's going to be a very good guy that you could depend on year in and year out at the left tackle position. I don't know if he's ever going to be, Joe Thomas, but I think he's going to be a top-tier tackle. And do you know how valuable a top-tier tackle is, a left tackle, to have for 15 years straight? It's incredibly valuable. So I'll go with Jason Peters. That's the name I hear all the time. Mark, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, Pat, Wilson, Watson, A-Rod, DJ, top 5 by 2020's end. Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going that far, Mark. Fisk will go that far. I'm going to pump the brakes on that. I ain't going that far. I'm willing to bend a little bit and say I think it's possible, realistic, that he could be top 10. I'm going to pump the brakes on that. I'm not going to set expectations that high. But I think he could be top 10 by year's end. James, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate it. He says, how many sacks you got Leo Williams getting? I think Leo Williams could get, I'll say 4 to 5 sacks. But that's not his job. People look at Leo Williams and they say, oh, he's got to get 10 sacks. Otherwise, that's not his job. His job is to create sacks for other players. His job is to collapse the pocket, force the quarterback out of the pocket, and create a sack for O'Shane Ximines. His job is to clog up running lanes. Leonard Williams, if he gets 4.5, 5 sacks, does a great job of clogging the middle, I'm happy with that. We saw the effect he had on the defense last year. He did a good job. So, we could cry about the trade all we want, but Leonard Williams is a good football player. And he's overpaid. Let's see what we got here. What's up, man? What do you think is the full starting offensive line this year and next? Okay, starting line right now, if you ask me, because there's no way I'm not going to know how these guys perform in camp. But if you're asking me right now, I mean, several people have asked me this. The obvious tackles on the outside, I think Solder's going to be back. So I think you got Solder, Thomas. I think Thomas should start on the left side. And then you got Will Hernandez at the left guard, and then obviously Zeitler at the right guard. I think Pulley's going to be your starting center right now. That could change. Maybe Shane Lemieux comes into camp. Maybe Nick Gates comes into camp, beats him out. But neither one of those guys have ever played the center position in an NFL football game. Spencer Pulley has. So right now I got to label Pulley the favorite, at least going in. Is it possible by week 3 or 4 Pulley will be relieved? Absolutely. If he's not playing well. And I'm kind of rooting for Lemieux to get that job or Gates. Because we all know Pulley's not very good. Noah, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Who's your favorite random Giant? Mine is Jake Ballard. Jake Ballard is a very random Giant. Jake Ballard was, he was one of those, off-the-wall tight ends that Eli just found a way to make productive, kind of like Kevin Boss. Let's see. Let me think of an off-the-wall Giant. That's a random question. I mentioned Kevin Boss. I liked Kevin Boss. I like Jacobs, but he's not off the wall. He was one of my favorite Giants ever. Trying to think of somebody here. I liked Kawika Mitchell. Yeah. I'll give you that one. I liked him. Let's see what we got here. Who is the worst starting quarterback in the league right now? Well, I know what you guys want me to say. You want me to say Dwayne Haskins. The worst starting quarterback in the league right now. I don't. Let me think. I don't want Redskin fans to hate me. I know Chuck's probably listening. And I still think Haskins has upside. I still think he'd be decent, but he's not very good right now. He might be the worst. I got to think of all the teams. But in our division, it's Haskins. But NFC North, you got Foles more than likely. You got Rodgers, Cousins. Who am I forgetting? Tyrod Taylor? Tyrod Taylor's a journeyman. He's not very good. Fitzpatrick. I know Fitzpatrick played well last year, but he always regresses the year after he plays good. Stidham. I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm going to tell you what about Stidham. Everybody's saying Stidham. I don't think Trubisky's going to start. Everybody's saying Stidham. Stidham's going to have a good year. People seem to think that Belichick is tanking. Everybody's saying Belichick's tanking. I don't think Belichick's like 80 years old. Do you think Belichick's had a state in his life to be tanking? Belichick gets the most out of his players. Belichick had every avenue to draft a quarterback. Could have taken Love. Could have added a quarterback in free agency. He didn't do that. I think he knows he's got something with Stidham. He's shown it in the past when people didn't think he had quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, nobody thought he was anything. Matt Castle performed well with the Patriots. I'm not saying Stidham's going to be great. I don't think Stidham's going to be bad. I think Stidham's going to be at least serviceable. I could be wrong. But Bill Belichick historically gets the most out of his football players. Let's see what we got here. He can have a good year. Have to see, but he wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I mean, he could be bad. Who's Stidham going to pass to? Who did Brady pass to his whole career? I'm not saying, again, he's not going to he's not going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback, but I think he can win football games. I think he can win football games. New York for life, man. Thank you so much, man, for love. I appreciate it, man. $10 donation, man. I really appreciate that. He says, you meet a girl, you think she's perfect, a year goes by, and you guys are getting married. At the altar before you said I do, she tells you she's an Eagles fan. Do you leave her ass there? Oh, man. Wow. You know what? I'd be tempted. Because you just lied to me for like 2 years. I've been dating you now for 2 years, and now you tell me you're an Eagles fan? I've been watching football with you for 2 years straight. And now you tell me you root for my arch rival? I might have issues there. If you're up front, you tell me you root for the Eagles. Well, that's different. That's trust issues right there, New York for life. I don't know. I might have problems there. I might have problems there. I have no problem dating an Eagles fan, but you better tell me up front. James Bryant, man, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I really appreciate it. He says, do you think Judge will be an aggressive coach? Well, I think he's definitely going to be a versatile coach. I definitely think he's going to throw the kitchen sink at you. Yeah, I do think he'll be aggressive. I do. Yeah, I think he'll be aggressive. Belichick's ultra aggressive, so that's who we learned from. Yeah, I think he'll be aggressive. Absolutely. Let's see what we got here. Could DJ be the best quarterback in the NFC East? Could DJ be the best quarterback in the NFC East? No, not if Wentz is healthy. I'm not willing to put him above Carson Wentz. Do I think he could pass Dak this year? Yeah. Do I think he will? Probably not. Dak has the best situation known to man. So when I say he could be better than Dak, Dak's going to put up better numbers. But do I think Daniel Jones could be looked at as a more talented quarterback this year than Dak? Yeah. Do I think it could he surpass Wentz if Wentz stays healthy? No. I think Wentz is far and away the best quarterback in this division still. But let's see. Maybe Daniel Jones progresses this year. Maybe my mind changes. Is my wife an Eagles fan? I don't have a wife. I don't have a wife. Will Danny Dimes win an MVP in his career? God, people ask me that all the time. I don't care if Daniel Jones wins an MVP. You know, I care about one thing. Does he win a Super Bowl? He can win 10 MVPs. If he doesn't win one Super Bowl, I don't care. It'll be nice to watch a great quarterback. I don't care. Give me Jarrett Stidham if he's going to win 2 Super Bowls. I want to win. I want to win. I don't care if he wins MVPs. I care if he wins Super Bowl trophies. And no, he's not going to win an MVP, in my opinion. And it has nothing to do with Daniel Jones. To me, it has everything to do with the philosophy that the New York Giants are going to try to implement. I think they're going to try to build around the defense and the running game. And I think they'll ask Daniel Jones to make plays when he has to make them. And I'm not saying he might not have a point in his career like Eli did for a year or two where he has to carry the offense, and maybe then he'll have an opportunity to win an MVP. But I don't think the Giants are that type of offense. I don't think that they plan to be that type of offense, like the Kansas City Chiefs, where they air the ball out 700 times a year. So I think he'd be a great quarterback, but I don't know if he'll win an MVP. But I don't care about that. I care about Super Bowl trophies. I care about Super Bowl MVPs. Win 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Let's see what we got here. Who is better, the Lions or the Giants? Giants, I think. And, I know the Lions were playing decent last year before Stafford got hurt. I don't know. I think Giants better than the Lions. I don't like Stafford anymore. I'll go Giants there. I'll go Giants over the Lions. Thank you so much, Jason, man, for the love, man. $5 donation. He says, special teams will play a role in our success. Picking up yards, punt return, kick return, blocking punts, field goals, help us win close games. That's what Judge means by X's and O's. It's a great point, and it's something that we don't look at enough. And you're right. And last year, the New York Giants had one of the best special team units in football outside of the field goal kicking by Rosas, which a lot of people point to the long snapper. Diasu is no longer here, so we'll see if that improves. But yeah, the Giants last year had really good special teams. This year, they should be a lot better. Obviously, they bring in a guy that's known as one of the best special teams minds in football to be their head coach. And they add some really good special teams players, including Nate Ebner from the New England Patriots. So, yeah, I think the Giants are going to have one of the top 6, 7, maybe even better special team units in football. And that could be a very underrated attribute of the New York Giants. Gordon, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I appreciate it. What's going on, Hot Take Hockey? If anybody's a hockey fan, go on over there and subscribe to him, by the way. And Gordon with the $2 donation. How does Tana play a deuce versus deuce in last position? Oh, we're talking poker. Pocket deuces? Okay, I'm in the last positions, meaning that I'm the big. Am I the big blind? Or am I the last act before the small blind? If I'm the big blind and I got pocket twos, I'm seeing the flop. And it also depends on how many people are left. If there's 2, 3 people left, I'm raising. But if it's 8, 9 person table, I'm playing a cash game, I check. I'll call a small raise. I'll see a flop. I'll hope for that 1 in 6 probability that I hit trips and nobody sees it coming. Pocket twos are a dangerous hand if you hit that third two. Thanks so much for love. I appreciate it. And, oh, man, thank you so much. Great subscriber, man. Always shows me so much love and always drops nice comments, man. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Mord, I hope I could pronounce that right, but I always know his icon from the blue truck. Becomes a new member. Stand up, new member. Welcome to the channel, man. I really appreciate it. See you all week 16. We'll see you week 16. We'll see you week 16. Who will we draft in next year's draft? I think it's going to be an edge rusher. I think it's going to be a wide receiver. Rousseau's the name that you hear at the edge rusher. I'm going to do more research on that, have some videos up on it. Everybody seems to want Chase if we go wide receiver, but there's so many good wide receivers in next year's draft class. Supposedly, it's a better class than this year's. So I think we're going to have options if we want to go wide receiver. Defense seems a little thin at the top of the draft, specifically at the position that we want. Do we beat the Steelers week 1? I do. I think we can. Oh, you meant blackjack. Depends what the dealer's showing. If the dealer's got a 4, 5, or 6, I'm splitting the 2s. If the dealer's showing, I'm always scared of 2s. When the dealer's got a 2, I'm just going to play it as if I got a 4 and not split the 2s. Dealer's got a 3, I'll think about it. If the dealer's got a 4, 5, or 6, I'm splitting the 2s. That's how I play him in blackjack. Tana, Harry Carson or Carl Banks? I didn't get to watch that era. I didn't get to watch that era, but they're both great linebackers. But I didn't get to watch that era. How happy were you when Janoris Jenkins was cut? I mean, to me, that was inevitable. Like, it was going to happen. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say I was ecstatic that he was cut. I thought he was wrong for what he did. I thought it was a dumb. To me, it wasn't even so. I mean, I know that people obviously got offended by him saying what he said. It is what it is. It wasn't even that I was super offended by it, even though I completely understand why some people were offended by that. It was his stupidity. Like, you represent the New York Giants. You're a professional athlete. You get paid millions of dollars. You have to think about your job. You're representing the New York Giants organization. When somebody says something to you on Twitter, if you feel the need to respond to them what the guy said wasn't even that bad. I don't even remember exactly what he said, but it wasn't even that bad. If you feel the need to come out and do that, you shouldn't be on social media. That was my issue with it. Was I surprised that he was cut? No, because they were going to cut him anyway. If Jenkins was in the team's future plans, he wouldn't have been cut. Everybody knows that. He probably would have been benched for a game. He wouldn't have been cut. Chris, we seem to love players with the name Chase. Yeah, other than Claypool. Tana, do you have any pet? Yes, I have a dog. I have a dog. What would the Giants look like today if they got Darnold? Great question. And I don't know if Fisk is still in here. I didn't get a chance to comment on his video today. I listened to it. And I completely get the people's mindset that say that we shouldn't have drafted a running back. And I've been on record of saying, even though Saquon Barkley is my favorite player on the New York Giants, I've been on record of saying that ideally the New York Giants should have traded down in that draft. Now, we don't know if the opportunity was there. We've heard rumors after the fact. But I'm going to say this. For everybody that complains about Saquon Barkley, other than maybe you want to argue Chubb, because you were never taking Nelson at 2. You're not taking a guard at 2. The only way we're taking Nelson is if we traded down. So you can take a tackle at 2. You're not taking a guard, in my opinion. So it was either Chubb or Barkley if you're not going quarterback there. And if you don't go Barkley and you go Darnold, the way Darnold has played, now let's think about this logically. If you take Darnold at number 2, that means you don't have Barkley on the team, so you have no running back to help your quarterback. Your offensive line is a mess. The following year, you probably finish with a worse record than we did the first year with Barkley because it's a worse team. Darnold's going to do nothing with that offensive line without Saquon Barkley. You're probably picking, what do we pick? We pick 6th with Jones. You're probably picking 3 or 4. You're not going offensive line there. It was a heavy defensive draft. You probably take Josh Allen. We probably get an edge rusher. So you probably got Darnold and Allen, and the line's still a mess. The team wouldn't have been any better. Would have been worse, probably. The way that Darnold's performed with the Jets, you could argue that the Giants' offensive line, had you selected Darnold, would be worse than what the Jets is. Because you would have never had the ability to draft Andrew. You probably would have taken Andrew Thomas this year. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if Daniel Jones works out, I don't hate the Saquon Barkley pick. Because, and people could say what they want, but at the end of the day, if Daniel Jones works out, and Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen and Josh Allen don't, I'm not even factoring in Lamar Jackson. Because, yeah, you could say Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson was on nobody's radar. There's a reason that he went number 32 overall and the Ravens traded up. So you could argue Rosen, you could argue Darnold, you could argue Josh Allen. If Daniel Jones turns out to be a much better quarterback than those 3 quarterbacks, how could you hate the Saquon Barkley pick? Other than the fact that you say we should have traded down, which I get that. And if they could have gotten a trade down, absolutely. But I think we'd be in a worse situation had we taken a quarterback in that draft if you think Daniel Jones is a better quarterback. So in that aspect, Dave Gettleman did a good job. That's the way I look at it. What's going on, Dylan? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. How do you feel about the McKinney and Jabril duo? Is it the best in the league? It's too early. It's too early to say that they're the best duo in the way too early to say they're the best duo in the league. But they're young and they're upcoming, and I'm looking forward to it. Lamar Jackson, a one-year wonder. Don't count him in guaranteed. I'm not gonna say that he's a one-year wonder. But what I will say about Lamar Jackson's legit, and he plays in a perfect system to really get the most out of his talent. I don't know if he's going to have long-term success in the NFL for the simple reason he ran for 1,400 yards. Eventually, that's going to take a toll if he continues to play that way. I don't think he's going to be able to play for 10 years straight without sustaining injuries. And once he loses that athleticism and loses that speed, he's a different quarterback. So Lamar Jackson might be a phenomenal quarterback for 5-6 years. I don't think he's going to have a 15-year career where he's one of the best in the league. That's what I'll say about Lamar Jackson. But, well, he's great. He's going to be great. Chris, you feel as if Lamar fell to us at pick 34. Do you think we would have took him? I don't know. To be completely honest with you, I don't know. And I'll never know. My guess is no, Because I think if Dave Gettman wanted a quarterback in that draft, he was taking him at 2. That was thought to be a rich quarterback draft at the top of the draft. I don't think if he was going to pass on a quarterback at 2, I don't think he had any intentions of taking a quarterback in that draft. He was going to take it. He was going to take it with that first pick if he was taking a quarterback. You don't mess around. When you have the ability to take a potential franchise quarterback, you take him. He didn't feel anybody was worthy of being a franchise quarterback where he was picking. Now, we'll never know if he felt that way about Baker Mayfield because he wasn't available. So, but, yeah, I don't think he would have taken Lamar Jackson. What's going on, Dylan, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Let's see what we got here. Question, should we sign Larry Warford? A lot of people have asked me about Larry Warford, Mr. Touchdown. And I know he's a big name, and I know he's been a really good guard in the NFL for a while. But he has no experience playing the center. And if you were to sign him, and we don't have much cap space to begin with, he's going to call you. The guy's a Pro Bowler. It's not. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's realistic. And I don't know what you would do there. Would you ask Hernandez to play center? You'd have to ask somebody to play out of position. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see the Giants bringing him in. He's definitely going to end up somewhere. He's a really good guard in the NFL, but it's not going to be with the Giants. What's going on, Sincere Blue, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Clowney still up the Giants. Could grab him. Yeah, again, I don't think they're going to have the cap space to grab him. And from what I'm hearing, I think it's going to be the Eagles or the Seahawks. At least that's what it sounds like right now. Maria always try. Maria, I like you. I know that you just like to troll. I know, and you might even be like a YouTuber for all I know, because I always see you pop in the streams, and maybe you're like a YouTuber with a hidden account that likes to just troll. But Maria, you gotta go. You gotta go, Maria. Everson Griffin still hasn't been signed, which is crazy. I don't think he fits. I don't think he fits the scheme of what we're looking to do. And again, I don't think we're signing anybody of significance. If we're going to sign somebody of significance, it's going to be Marcus Golden. I think we're going to bring him back on the $5 million contract. I don't expect to bring in any more, big names for the New York Giants. Let's see what we got here. Get him out of here. He's gone. Chris, what are your thoughts on Sam Beal, Corey Ballantyne, and who do you think will be the odd man out this year? I think there's a good chance both of them make the roster. There's a good chance both of them still make the roster, but if one of them's not going to make it, I would guess Ballantyne. For the simple reason that I think at this point in time, Ballantyne's biggest contribution is special teams. I think they have more than enough guys that can contribute in that area. Didn't display that he was ready for the NFL last year in terms of coverage skills. He's a depth player at best at this point. Maybe he could evolve into a starting corner. I think he'll make the team, but if you're asking me one of the two that won't make it, I would go with Ballantyne. Beal obviously has the injury history. We haven't gotten to see him on the field enough, but I think the Giants still invested a high enough pick in him and had a high enough grade on him. They thought he had a first-round grade. So I think they think highly enough of Beal to keep him on the roster. I think he'll definitely be on the roster, and I think Ballantyne has at least a 75%, 80% chance of being on the roster. But if you ask me who has a higher probability of not making it, I would say Ballantyne. Gordon, man, thanks so much for the love. I appreciate it, man. Don't forget to tune into the Entertainers Channel Week 1 versus Pittsburgh with Bad Dog. Also, Chris will be performing in the club at halftime. Yeah, I might have to do that at halftime for you, Gordon. Might have to do that at halftime for you. But yeah, we'll be streaming that game on my channel Week 1. We talked about that on Bad Dog's channel the other night. And EJ, man, thanks so much for the love, man. I appreciate it, man. $2 donation. He says, 2019 Jones equals Darnold. Darnold's pass numbers with more TDs and rushing yards. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Darnold's numbers off the top. I guess that's what they are. I don't know Darnold's numbers off the top of my head. But yeah, Daniel Jones outside of the fumbling problems has been more successful than Sam Darnold. Now, you could argue that, Sam Darnold hasn't had a great supporting cast, hasn't had many good wide receivers, has had a horrible offensive line. But yeah, Sam Darnold, and part of it, he had mono. But he has not been a very good quarterback so far for the New York Jets. He had a great, a 4-game stretch at the end of his rookie season. But overall, Sam Darnold's been mediocre at best. What's going on, Kalen? Thanks for popping into the stream. Let's see what we got here. What do you think about Justin Fields going to the Panthers next draft? It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. I thought that the Panthers could have been in the market for a quarterback. I mean, they got Bridgewater. It's possible. Possible. Sam Darnold went 6-2 the last 8 games. He is ready to show you that he is good. We'll see. I don't hate Sam Darnold. I say it all the time. I don't hate Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold, if you give him the right support system, can be a good quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be elite, but I think he's a solid quarterback. Oh, thank you so much, man, Mark, man. I really appreciate it. Judge's ability to get the most out of our current players is the biggest X factor to our win ceiling. I believe it is 11 wins building a new culture. Listen, man, at the end of the day, if everything breaks right, 10 wins. Maybe 11. But our schedule is so difficult. But I agree with that. The reason for hope this year, if you want to go into the year optimistic, you want to go in with a positive approach, which I think all fans should. You never want to go into a year and say, there's no way. And I'm not even going to go into the year thinking that. I'm going to go into the year giving you my realistic expectations. But the positive outlook for the New York Giants this year, if you're looking for something to grasp to, is what we hope is a much improved coaching staff, a new culture, a quarterback with a second year of experience where he should take a leap, a healthy Saquon Barkley. You got all your healthy pieces back with an improved offensive line and a more experienced defense. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the team this year in terms of improvement. The reason I'm being conservative, 1, the new systems, 2, it's a very tough schedule. But there's reasons to be optimistic going in. Nick DeWick, man, thank you so much, man, for the love, man. He says, what's up? Does New York Giants have a shot at winning the NFC East? Do the New York Giants have a shot at winning the NFC East? I mean, there's always a shot. There's always a shot. Is it realistic? No. 15%. It's not very high. But there's always a shot. Things happen. Is Carson Wentz going to go down with an injury week 3? Is Dak Prescott going to go down with an injury week 4? Is Daniel Jones going to play better than most people think? Is the offensive line going to play out of their minds? But realistically, am I going to pick them to win the division? No. Do they have a shot? It's football. So anything's possible. And, oh, man, thank you so much, Mord, man. I really appreciate that, man. With the $10 super sticker, he says, #1 fan. I really appreciate that. He's always been a great supporter of my channel. And thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you for becoming a member tonight, by the way. I really appreciate it. Pick your all-rookie team for two. Wow, that's way too hard. Way too hard. I'll give you the skill positions, I guess. I mean, the quarterback, I'm gonna go with Burrow. Wide receiver, I think Judy could do really well in Denver. I think he's the clear #1 option. The thin air. I think Drew Lock could take a big step this year. I think he's gonna have the best of the receivers. I think he's gonna have the best year. Just my opinion. I think Dallas has too many weapons there for Lamb to have like an unbelievable year. So I'll go Judy at the wide receiver position, has the best year. I love the running back out of Wisconsin. But the thing is, he's going to be. I'd have to really look at a list, but in terms of guys, I mean Chase Young, obviously, I think is the best defensive rookie. Simmons would be hard not to say will be the best linebacker. Okuda's probably going to be the best corner. McKinney is probably going to be the best safety, or definitely the favorite going in. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to see a list to make a video like that. I know Cortland Sutton's good, but I think they got 2 good wide receivers there, but they don't have the targets that Dallas does. And I appreciate that, Nikki. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm almost at 25K. By the way, I'm going to be doing a giveaway at 25K. So be sure to tune in for that. Basically, what I think I'm going to do, so make sure you watch my videos. I'm going to announce it whenever I hit 25K, whatever video I do next, I'm going to announce in the video, because last time it was a complete mess. I did a giveaway when I hit 10K, and I had people call in, try to answer questions. It was a mess. So this year, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it completely random. Whatever video I do, whatever the topic is that day, I'm going to announce it in the video, and I'll probably even put plus giveaway announcement. You have to drop a comment in the video, and then I'm going to go live probably the next night, 2 nights after that, and I'm going to do it live. So nobody, I'm not playing favorite. And what it does, the simulator, I'm going to put in the link to the video, and then it'll pick out a random comment from the video, and that person will get a jersey, a New York Giants jersey, or whatever jersey you want. I just hope you're not an Eagles fan, because I don't want to be giving away Eagle jerseys. So I'm going to be doing that when I hit 25K. That hopefully should be pretty soon. So look out for that. Chris, do you think getting DeAndre Baker was necessary last year? Yeah. But the thing is, I think we had a lot of necessities. I think that was one of them. Our corners were not good last year. We definitely needed to revamp that cornerback position. I wanted Baker. He was in several of my mock drafts, even at the 17 spot in some of them, at least early on in the process. But you could have definitely argued we should have went tackle there. Juwan Taylor was still there. There was a couple of really good tackles there. So you could argue. When they traded up, I thought they were trading up to get a tackle. And they ended up taking Baker. I was happy. So, yeah, I think corner was a need, but I think tackle was as well. At the same time, do you think Will Hernandez will get out of mediocre? MH, here's what I'll say. Here's the hope for Will Hernandez this year. Last year, Nate Solder was god-awful. And this year, I assume Andrew Thomas is going to be playing next to him. So, you would think having a better left tackle next to him should improve Will Hernandez's play. I've also read, and I'm probably going to do a video on this, that the new offensive system that they're going to run is better suited for the type of blocker that Will Hernandez is. So I think there's reasons for optimism with Will Hernandez this year that he could take a big step forward for the New York Giants. So I'm looking forward to him. I think he's one of the sleepers, but I said that last year and he disappointed, so hopefully he doesn't this year. Conley or Mayo? If Conley's healthy, Conley. Who's winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and MVP? For MVP, I'm going chalk. I'm going Pat Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the league. I'm going Pat Mahomes. I'm going chalk. For Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going Chase Young. And Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'll go Judy. I think Judy's going to play well. I'll go Judy. And it could definitely be one of the quarterbacks, but I don't think Tua's going to get to play enough. I could be wrong. I don't think Herbert's going to get to play enough. Love is definitely not going to get to play enough. So Burrow, to me, if you're going to pick a quarterback, is going to be your Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's probably the favorite. But I'll go Judy. Should we go after Keenan Allen? Is Keenan Allen a free agent next year? I haven't even looked at the free agency list. Keenan Allen's going to cost you $20 million a year. I don't even know his age. I'd have to do research on him. I personally want to draft a wide receiver. I wouldn't want to sign a guy to a $20 million contract. I don't believe in paying wide receivers that kind of money. So if we're going after a wide receiver, I would especially if it's a guy like that, I'd much rather draft one. Now, if you want to try to get a guy like I've said, Corey Davis on a cheaper contract, I'll take a flyer there. But I don't want to spend $20 million on a wide receiver. I'd rather try to find my $20 million wide receiver in the draft. CeeDee Lamb too. CeeDee Lamb could absolutely win it too. The only reason I don't say CeeDee Lamb is just because there's so many targets in Dallas. And I also think Dallas, if they're smart, listen, I hope, and if GOAT's in here, he knows that I hope this. I hope that the Dallas Cowboys do what they did last year. I want Dak Prescott to throw for 4,800 yards. That's not what they should be doing. But if they do that, CeeDee Lamb might have a great year. But they're going to win more football games if they get back to what they should be doing, which is running the football with Ezekiel Elliott to set up the pass. But yeah, if they do what they did last year, CeeDee Lamb's going to get a lot of targets. I think if Dallas is smart, I think they're going to dial it back. I think they're going to run the ball more with Zeke to set up the pass. I don't think that's playing to the team's strength. You have a strong offensive line. You have one of the best running backs in football. You got to give the ball to Zeke. They got away from that last year. But if they continue to get away from that, maybe CeeDee Lamb does have a big year. Chris, did you hear that the Eagles offered a contract to Clowney? I did hear that. I don't know much else other than that. I also heard that the Seahawks offered him one too. Shaking my head, undercover Cowboys fan. I saw made by kicks write that in one of my other videos. Did I even say anything positive about the Cowboys there? I just said that CeeDee Lamb won't win Rookie of the Year because I think and I said if I was the Cowboys coach, what I would do. Just like I would say if I was the Jets coach, if I was the Packers coach, I'm putting myself in the situation of the Cowboys, saying that they have a good offensive line. Do you want me to lie and tell you that they have a shitty offensive line? They've had 3 All-Pros for the last decade. They have one of the best running backs. Ezekiel Elliott is one of the top 5 or 6 running backs in football. I'm just telling the truth. I could compliment our rivals. I absolutely hate the Dallas Cowboys. Mark, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I really appreciate that. He said, I bet DJ MVP $15 to win 1,000. Disrespectful odds. Those are the odds? Those are the odds? Oh, my God. For $15 to win 1,000? I'll bet that. I'll bet that. What's $15? Entertainment fans say, yeah, but now you don't have 15. You never know. For $15 to win $1,000, it's worth a shot. Does Luck have a change of mind? Announces return. Does Luck have a change of mind? No, maybe, but I doubt it. He could, but I doubt it. He already made a lot of money, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. I think that's why you hung him up. What's going on, Taco? If the Giants go 6-10, does Dave Gettleman get tossed? I hope not. I hope not. I don't want him to get tossed. Can I get your permission to make an entertaining throwback video, chopping up your old clips, and I'll send it to you? Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't know if I'll put it on my channel, but you could send it to me. Do you think O'Shane... Yes, I do think O'Shane Ximines will break out this year. Chris, my friend is a childhood friend with Jawan Taylor, and he said that Taylor wanted to be a Giant. I mean, I don't know enough about Jawan Taylor's background, but, I mean, it was a clear need for the New York Giants. We needed a left tackle, so it would have made sense. So, yeah, I like Jawan Taylor. He didn't play that good last year. And I know it was his rookie year, but he didn't play that well. Have a good night, Jesse. Yeah, we're going to close this out probably around 11:20. We've been live since 8:45, maybe 11:30. We'll probably go to 11:30. Yeah, have a great night, Jesse. Would you rather have Andrew Thomas than the other tackles in the draft? Yeah, I mean, I think Andrew Thomas was the safest tackle in this draft. I think he was the safest left tackle prospect in this draft. I think Jedrick Wills played right tackle. A lot of people think he could shift to the left, but we knew that Andrew Thomas could play the left tackle position. I think Andrew Thomas was the safest pick. I have no problem with the pick. Might not have had the highest ceiling, but I think he's going to be a very good player for the New York Giants, and that's what you want. You don't want to take a big risk there. Andrew Thomas is not near the risk of, like Eric Flowers, one of the guys that a lot of Giants fans talked about. I think he's going, at bare minimum, he's going to be an average left tackle in this league. Do I know? No, I don't know who you are on the Twitters. What's up, Gino? Any breakout players for us next year? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number. I think most of them potential breakout players on the defensive side. I don't think there's that many candidates to be breakout players on the offensive side. To me, it's just a matter of staying healthy. Guys like Evan Ingram, guys like Sterling Shepard, those guys have to stay healthy. Slayton, I guess, is a potential breakout, but the defense is where you have the potential breakout players because they have a lot of untapped potential. There's like 6 guys on that defense that could break out this year. Lorenzo Carter, I've talked about. Peppers, Ximines, some of the rookies, McKinney, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams. So there's a lot of guys that I could see breaking out on that defensive side of the ball. Kalen, you have a great night, man. Thank you for popping in. Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp. Oh, you're listing the receivers free agency? Juju Smith-Schuster, Mike Williams, A.J. Green, Marvin Jones, T.Y. Hilton, top 20. So there you go. And I would imagine, without knowing the age, Godwin's still young. Keenan Allen's probably not that young, and he's had injury problems. Allen Robinson, you probably wouldn't cost as much as some of the others. Galladay's going to cost a lot. Schuster's going to cost a lot. A.J. Green's too old. I want nothing to do with him. Marvin Jones up there in age. T.Y. Hilton, I don't really want any of those guys, to be honest with you, based on the contracts that I think the top guys will command. Of course I want Juju Smith-Schuster, but do I want to commit $20 million to him or $18, $19 million? That's what you got to ask yourself when I could draft a great wide receiver in the first round. So that's what you got to ask yourself. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't want – me personally, I don't want to spend big bucks on a wide receiver in free agency. Tanya's going to get an analyst job for the Gmail. That would be great, Colt Waters. I appreciate that. Always shows me a lot of love on Twitter, and he's in my Discord too. Do you think we have a top 10 secondary? Not yet, but I think we could. We definitely should in the near future, but I can't commit to that yet. Go young, keep drafting through Bosa is though. Yeah, no. Big Daddy. If the Giants are going to spend big, what's going on, Brandon? Thanks for popping in the stream. If the Giants are going to spend on a big piece in free agency, go after the edge rusher. Go after the edge rusher. Especially knowing that next year's draft, there's not a lot of top-tier edge rushers. At least that's the thought process now. Maybe that'll change. But knowing that, if you're going to sign someone big in next year's class, sign an edge rusher. Get that one missing link to our defense, that guy that could really put us over the top, similar to what D4 did for the Niners. Then they drafted Bosa on top of it. But get that edge rusher, and then I would draft a wide receiver if you want to go that route. Why don't you go live for at least 3 hours? I mean, I'm going live for pretty much 3 hours. I went live at 8:45. I'm going till 11:30. That's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's pretty close. Pretty close. And I'm gonna be doing it twice a week going forward. Travis, man, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. He says, hey, Chris, love the videos. As always, best Giants YouTuber. I think that the Lorenzo Carter will have a breakout year. Travis, man, first off, I want to say thank you for being a great subscriber. And, yeah, that's one guy. You know what? I was right about Marcus Golden last year. You know, I'm trying to buy low on Carter. I think a lot of people are like, with Carter. I like Carter's physical ability. I like that Joe Judge is the type of guy that I think could get the most out of a guy with a lot of athletic potential. And that's why I'm so high on Carter. You know, I'm a big fan of Carter. I think Carter could do a great job for the New York Giants this year in this scheme, and I think they get the most out of him. I think Carter could have a breakout year. Now, it's going to depend on how he's implemented in this defense. How are they going to use him? Are they going to use him more in coverage? Are they going to use him more up at the line of scrimmage? Are they going to use him more as an edge rusher? But I like Carter this year. I think Carter could have a big year for the Giants. Do you have sleeper teams this season that you think are going to make the playoffs? Yes, I have one. And people have called me crazy. People have called me absolutely crazy. I have one sleeper team. And I don't care. I've seen them ranked as low as 31. Call me crazy. Chicago Bears. That's my sleeper team. I think the Chicago Bears are going to make the playoffs. Or at least compete. They're going to be right there. That's my sleeper team. Now, anybody could say the typical sleeper teams, the boring one. Everybody's saying the Cardinals. Everybody's saying the Broncos. I'm giving you a deep sleeper. A team that I think is being completely counted out that shouldn't be. Chicago Bears. I still believe in that defense, and I think Foles could play pretty well. I think they could win 8 or 9 games and make the playoffs. So I'm going with the Bears. And I think they play in a weak division. I don't believe in the Lions, and I think the Vikings, and the Packers too. I don't think the Packers are that good. The Bears are my deep, deep sleeper. Let's see what we got here. Dak is way too weird and weak, not joking around. Well, he did have the dildo incident. I don't think they can make it to the play. Yeah, I mean, Logan, like I said, most people are not going to agree with me. Like I said, it's my deep, deep sleep. It's one of those picks where I'm either going to look really smart at the end of the year or I'm going to look really stupid. The Bears could absolutely win 4 games, 5 games, and I could look dumb. But I believe in their defense. I'm trying to buy them low. I believe in their defense. I think their defense alone is going to keep them in football games, and I think Foles could play adequate. And that's really all they need. Last year, Trubisky didn't play adequate. Yeah, Dildo Dak. Chris, do you think they will sign Logan? I don't. So, a lot of people have been asking me, do you think we'll sign? I don't think we're signing anybody of significance anymore. We don't have much cap space. And, I like Logan Ryan. I was a fan of bringing in Logan Ryan when free agency started. I don't see the need for him. We have a pretty packed secondary as is. I don't think we're bringing him in. Murpro, man, thank you so much for love, man. I appreciate it. $2 donation. He says, if Gettleman was the GM for the 2017 draft, who would we have taken? Ooh. I'll tell you one thing. We're not taking Evan Ingram. I'll tell you that right now. We're not taking on, who was the offensive lineman? Was it Ramsick? Ramsick went to the Saints? Was that We might have went with Watt. Watt was injured as well. Either Watt or I think it was Ram. Yeah, Ramsick. I think we would have taken Ramsick because I think Watt had some injury concerns. That's my guess. If you're asking me who I think we would have taken, Ramsick. We definitely wouldn't have taken Evan Ingram. That's for damn sure. Media hates all New York. Yeah. Let's see. Who are you most excited to see, Xavier McKinney or Darnay Holmes? I'm excited to see both, to be honest with you, but McKinney. McKinney to me is going to be. I'm excited to see how they use McKinney. He's going to be used all over the football field. He's going to kind of be that jack of all trades player for this defense. He's going to be a very fun player to watch. They're going to send him on a lot of blitzes. They're going to use him in coverage over the middle. They're going to bring him on the outside. Yeah, I'm really excited to see McKinney. He's one of the more interesting pieces on this defense. What's going on, Landon? Thanks for popping in the stream. Oh, yeah. Ryan, listen, and I like Evan Ingram, but the guy can't stay on the field. He's a fun player. At the end of the day, Ramsick's a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. Okay? It's not even close. And if we would have drafted Ramsick, Isaiah Simmons probably be on this team. So, it is what it is. We're moving on. We're fixing what needs to be fixed. If we fall to the top 15, should we trade our first for Joey Bosa or Aaron Donald? Well, Joey Bosa is a free agent, but are you talking about a tag and a trade? I don't want to trade it first. I don't want to trade it first. I want to keep our picks. I don't want to trade picks. We need to continue to draft and build through the draft. I'll sign players. I don't want to trade picks. We're not in a position to trade picks. A team that's trying to win a Super Bowl is in a position to trade picks. We're not. We're not at that point yet. I think he was All-Pro, yes. Giants, no, I don't see that happening. Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate that $2 donation. Getting anxious. I need to hibernate for 4 months. I can't wait for. I just hope we get football, man. I just hope we get football, man. And I think we're gonna. I was really looking forward to doing the tailgate this year, and I hope I still get to do that. That is probably not very likely. That probably won't happen. I hope it still does, but more than likely, I don't think a lot of people are going to want to be going to football games, but I just hope we get football. I hope we get to watch football, get to cover football. So I think we're going to, but we might have empty stadiums. Who do you think will win the matchup between Andrew Thomas and Chase Young? Who do you think I'm picking? I'm picking Andrew Thomas. Picking Andrew Thomas, baby. That's going to be the most exciting matchup of the game. And I appreciate that, Levy. Thank you so much. Jalen Ramsey, Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, Joe. Wow, you're listing a lot of corners there. We don't need them. We're not signing a big-time corner. We've already invested enough at that position. If we're spending big in free agency, it won't be at the cornerback position. Yeah, of course. Look, at this point, I just want football. What's going on, Payback Carter? Payback Carter's been with my channel forever. Great guy. He's a Cowboy fan, but he's also a Knicks fan, so I forgive him there. What about your Cowboys, Payback? Hey, I'm an honest guy. Sometimes I guess people call me a Cowboy fan because I compliment your team. I think you could be honest. I think the Cowboys have a really good team. Now, the question is, are you guys going to be well coached, and are you going to get over the hump? But on paper, you guys have been one of the most talented teams for the last 5 years, but you just haven't been able to get over the hump. So we'll see how you guys do this year. But, yeah, you guys had a good draft. We need edge. Yeah, we do. Tana really wearing a Troy? No, that is a Daniel Jones jersey. Is Garrett really a good OC? I mean, Garrett, yeah, Ernesto, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Garrett was a great OC with the Dallas Cowboys. That's why he became a head coach in the first place. So, yeah, he's been a good OC. He wasn't a good head coach, but I think he'd be a good OC. Why not? He's a good OC with the Cowboys. Do you think Barkley can get over 1,500 yards on the ground this year? Yes. I think Barkley could lead the league in rushing. Yeah, Joey, that's what I said. That's what I said. Was not my proudest moment. How long do you think you'll go tonight? I'm gonna go another 25 minutes. I said 11:30. And like I said, so you guys are aware, I'm gonna try to make this a consistent schedule so you know what nights I'm gonna do this. It's probably gonna be Saturday, every Saturday, and earlier in the week. It'll I try to probably Tuesday. Probably Tuesdays and Saturdays. That's probably what I'll do. And then the Giants show will usually be on like a Thursday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and the Thursday will be changing between Bad Dogs channel and myself. But the Q&As will be Tuesdays and Saturdays. I think that's the idea. Oh, man, Payback, man. Thank you so much, man, for the love, man. Thank you so much, man. I hope you're being safe out there, by the way, man. $3 donation. He says, I really like the Giants secondary. So there you go. There's a Cowboy fan showing some love to the Giants. There you go. We hate each other's teams, but you can show respect. Yeah. I love the Giants secondary. I think the Giants secondary has a bright future. I really do. I'm not going to jump the gun. I'm not going to say that, we're elite yet, but I think we have the potential to be. I love the Giants secondary. It's probably the brightest part of that defense for the future. I'm loving what we got. Maybe we could get one more great piece in a future draft, but it's pretty complete as long as the players evolve. Sticky Fingers, man. Thank you so much for the love, man. I really appreciate that. $5 donation. My Uber Eats driver took a wrong turn on the highway and was 64 minutes late with cold pizza. You can have her you can have her tip instead. 64 minutes. How does that happen? There's nobody on the road. It's not like, there's nobody out right now with everything that's going on. How does that happen? I could understand 10 minutes, 64 minutes. That's ridiculous. I appreciate the donation, but I'm surprised you would have even given them $5. Thank you so much for love. I appreciate that. How are we at linebacker? Is Conley the guy? I hope Conley's the guy. I hope Conley's the guy. He's got to stay healthy, but he looked like he could be the first 3 or 4 games. Got to see a lot more, though, before we commit to that. Is Caden Smith going to replace Ingram as the starter next year? If he gets hurt, yes. I think Ingram's the starter going in. I think they'll use Caden Smith a lot. I think they'll use 2 tight end sets. I think they'll split Ingram out wide right or wide left sometimes. Caden Smith's going to get the play, but Ingram's the starter going in. Is Barkley Barkley's jacked, if that's what you're asking me. How will the bye week be this year? The bye week's week 11, I think. I think we play 10. It's either week 10 or 11. I know we play the Bengals after the bye week. We play, I think, the Redskins before it. I don't remember if it's week 10 or 11, but I think it's week 11. I think it's week 11. And Mark, thanks so much for love. I appreciate it, man. He says, Golden this year leaves RD with no major holes. I would love Golden back. At this point, for $5 million, why not? I don't think he's going to make a huge impact, but he could be that extra edge rusher that could be that missing piece that helps us get that much more pressure on the quarterback. And he's obviously got familiarity in the locker room. He's known as a good locker room guy. I would love Golden back at this point for the commitment that we're going to have to give him. Absolutely. Oh, thanks so much, man. Payback, man. Thanks so much for love, man. $5 donation. I think Mike McCarthy's having a big impact on Jerry Jones with the players he signed this offseason and the players he drafted. Well, here's what I'll say about you guys, Payback. Again, I hate to admit this. You guys have drafted well before McCarthy got there. You guys have drafted very well the last 4 or 5 drafts. The problem that you guys have had, in my opinion, has been Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, not so much the drafting, but I think he's tried to force his way on the team. I personally think you guys got away from what you should have last year. I think you should have remained being a running football team. You got too pass happy. And we'll see if you get back to that. If you're a Cowboys fan, I think you should be hoping for a more balanced offense this year. But I think Jerry Jones has done a good job drafting for the Dallas Cowboys. That hasn't been the problem. I was not the biggest fan of McCarthy, but McCarthy might make sense for your team because you're more of a veteran team. I didn't like McCarthy at all for the New York Giants. I wanted Rivera at first, if I'm being completely honest, but after the fact, once we started the coaching search, I wanted Rule before I knew about Judge, but Rule and Judge are kind of similar, that young, energetic coach. That's what I wanted. I wanted a fresh start. But for the Cowboys, he makes a lot more sense for you guys than he did for us. Travis, man, thanks so much for love. I appreciate it, man. $2 donation. He says, any impact player you think from the late round picks? Carter Coughlin. Carter Coughlin. To me, that's, if we're going to have, we're talking 6th, 7th round, Carter Coughlin. This year, if there's going to be a guy that has an impact, I'll say him. We just need to lock up Dak. And yeah, I agree. You got to run the football. You got to run the football payback. Obviously, you got to throw, but you want to be more balanced. Is Saquon going to leave after his contract is up? I don't think so. I don't think he's ever going to get to his contract being up. I've talked about this a lot. I think Saquon Barkley, they should extend him after this year if they can. You look at what all the teams have done. You look what the Cowboys did with Zeke. You look what the Rams did with Gurley. Now, Gurley didn't work out. He got hurt. I've given my thinking behind this. The market goes up every year. Okay, and who knows with what's going on right now if it will next year. So maybe that won't be the case. But during a normal setting, the market goes up every year. The longer you wait to extend Barkley, the more it's going to cost you. And the deeper you're going to have to pay him in terms of age. We all know running backs break down around 29, 30. If you wait till the conclusion of his rookie deal, he's going to be 31, 32 by the time that deal's up. I'd rather extend him after 3 years. In the end, you're going to be paying him less if you plan to extend him anyway. So if he's in the long-term plans for the New York Giants, don't be surprised at all if they extend him after this season. Okay, I'm back. Have to sign Barkley. Yeah, I'm diehard. I'm with you, man. I would extend him after 3 years. Rumors are the Giants will be the surprise team of 2020. What do you think? Fabian, from your lips to God's ears. From your lips to God's ears. I am not bought in yet. But I think they could be. You know, I don't think it's insane to think that. I would pick a couple other teams before them, but I think they could be. They have a new coaching staff, so they have the element of surprise. They have a lot of change to their roster, and they have a quarterback who could take a big leap. And, you know, obviously you hope they have health, which they didn't have last year. Giants Nation, thanks so much for love. I appreciate it. How would you rate RD right now based off their play? How would I rate RD right now based off their play? I mean, last year they were horrendous. Last year the Giants had the worst defense in football. So if we're going based off last year, they were awful. This year, I haven't seen them play yet. But I think they have potential to be close to average, which would be a gigantic jump. You're talking about going from like 30, 31 to like 17. I think they could do that. I think they're capable of doing that. Do I think they could be a top 10 defense this year? No, I think that's asking way too much. But I think they could be close to league average. Realistically, I think they'll probably be 21, 22, but I think they're going to get better. Man, what's going on, Chill Daddy, man? Thanks for being here, buddy. Muhammad, man, you have a great night, buddy. Let's see what we got here. What do you think that the score rank us at the 28th worst defense, Alvaro? I mean, to be fair, Alvaro, to be fair, if we're taking our Giants hats off and being completely fair, we can't argue with any poor ranking for the New York Giants. Because think about it from an outsider's perspective. If you don't follow the Giants, if you're not a New York Giants fan, what reasoning do you have to rank the Giants much higher than what they're ranked? They've won 12 games in 3 years. From the outsider's perspective, they've got a coach with no experience. They've got a quarterback who's got to learn a new playbook. They have a lot of question marks, but they do have a lot of potential. But I can't get on anybody that doesn't think highly of the Giants this year. You got to be fair. Could they surprise people? Absolutely. Thoughts on Dexter Lawrence? I like Dexter Lawrence. I think Dexter Lawrence could play at a Pro Bowl level this year. I like Dexter Lawrence a lot. He's one of my favorite players on the defense. McLaurin or Slayton? McLaurin right now, but McLaurin was great last year, but Slayton definitely could be better. And Ernesto, I agree with that. The New York Giants are at their best when there's not high expectations. I agree with that. You go back our last Super Bowl, when we won in 2012, going into the year, the team with all the expectations were the Philadelphia Eagles. They were the super team. They were the team that was going to beat everybody. We had limited expectations. We had lost Steve Smith. Nobody thought the Giants were going to make the playoffs. So, yeah, it's good to go in with low expectations sometimes. You want to have the element of surprise, especially with the New York Giants. If the Giants, besides Barkley, makes the Pro Bowl, who do you think it would be? Bradbury. I said that earlier. I would say Bradbury. I think, yeah, I'd go Bradbury. I think is the next most likely. Peppers as well, a lot of people say, but I'll go Bradbury or Peppers. I think they're the most likely after Barkley. I think Barkley's going to make the Pro Bowl. Yeah. Rank the Giants fan base, Chris. I think top 5. To be honest with you, I don't know fan base enough, but I'll say something about the New York Giants fan base. They're loyal as hell. And I think notoriously they're known as one of the best fan bases. I think for the most part, we're very loyal. Obviously you have some fans, that they're every fan base has those fans, but our core part of our fan base is incredibly loyal. All you got to do is look at my YouTube channel. You look at Bad Dogs, Giants YouTube channels. They're still getting views. People are still tuning into the streams. They're still dying to talk Giants football. This team's won 12 games in 3 years. That's all you got to know. I mean, people love the Giants. They're diehard fans. They love the Giants. And I love our fan base, man. I absolutely love our fan base. I love being a New York Giants fan. Yeah, man. I think we all bleed blue. I think we have a great fan base. But I don't know all the fan bases around the league, if I'm being completely honest. But the Giants have to be one of the better ones. But like all New York fan bases, I'm gonna be honest. The one flaw to the New York Giants and New York fans fan base, and it's because we're passionate, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But on my channel, I try to talk about patience. We're very impatient. That's not just with the Giants. That's every New York team. That's why it's almost impossible to rebuild in New York. Teams can't do it because the fan base demands excellence every year. That's the one flaw I'll say about every New York team, not just the Giants. We're not patient. And that's just New Yorkers' nature. We want instant gratification. That's the way we always are. So that's what I'll say. That's our one flaw. Alex, I appreciate that, man. He says, why are you not more popular? Great takes. I mean, Alex, I never thought I'd be the... I only been on YouTube for 2 years, so I never thought I'd have this many people. But I appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much. Yeah, I agree, Payback. Because I thought McKinney was going to you guys at 17. Yeah, obviously you guys got Lamb, but I thought McKinney was going to you guys. What is our deepest position? What is our deepest position? Probably I'll go D tackle. I'll go interior defensive line. I mean, because you got like 4 guys there that are pretty good players. So I'll go interior defensive line. I'll go Dalvin Tomlinson, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams. I'll go interior defensive line. I'll say is our deepest position. And you know what? As crazy as this sounds, Giants fans, and I can't believe I'm saying this, one of our deepest positions now on this football team, are you ready for this? You guys should be smile ear to ear. Offensive tackle. That's one of our deepest positions. You got Cam Fleming. The guy has a lot of experience as a starter on the bench. You got Matt Peart, a guy with a lot of upside. Offensive tackle is one of our deepest positions. Do you think we're the best young team in the league? I think we're, yeah. I do think we're one of the best young teams in the league. But like most young teams, I think you have to go in with moderate expectations. But yeah, I mean, the way that the Giants have drafted the last 3 years, we've got a lot of young talent. Yes, I do think we're one of the best young teams in the league. But we're young. But yes, I think we have a very bright future. It's what I always say on this channel. How did me and Bad Dog... We met on YouTube. We met in person once. We went to a Giant game together, but we met on YouTube. And Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate it. $2 donation. He says, Giants and Eagles fans are polar opposites. Yes and no. But yeah, yes and no. I think the one thing that Giants and Eagles fans share, and I say this all the time, incredibly passionate. Both of them. They're not fair weather fans. They stick with their team through and through. But outside of that, I agree with you. Outside of that, I'll agree with you. But I think both fan bases are incredibly passionate. I think they love their teams. But outside of that, I'll agree with you. If we could trade for any receiver right now, who would you want it to be? Huh. I mean, if you're asking me who I think the best wide receiver in the league right now, I would, you know what? He might not be the best. If we're not factoring in contracts and we're just thinking age, and I'm thinking a guy that I think would fit the locker room culture and a guy that wouldn't be an issue and a guy with a lot of talent, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas. If your contract's not an issue, Michael Thomas. That's who I'd pick. Diehard Giants fan, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I really appreciate it. He says, I can't wait for DJ to make the Pro Bowl and hear crickets from the media. DJ will continue to improve, and no doubt this coaching staff, especially Garrett, will encourage that. I completely agree with you. I think DJ's going to take off. You know, it might not hit the peak yet this year, but I think you're going to see him continue to progress. I think DJ's going to be a very good quarterback. I think he'll be a top 10 quarterback in the league. That's all we need, as long as we fix the rest of our team. Chris, please answer me this. Do you think that our coaching staff has the ability to coach our young team to be playoff contenders? 100%. 110%, LeVar. 100%. Again, maybe not this year, but yes, I think we have a very good coaching staff. And I think they're definitely capable of winning a lot of football games once this team hits where it needs to be. Yes, 100%. Well, Julio's up there in age. How old is Julio now, Sticky Fingers? $2 donation, I appreciate it. Whoa. Thomas over. How long has Julio been in the league now? Julio, I was factoring in age too. But yeah, Julio's always been a team guy. But, you know, I don't know the age off the top of my head. How old is Julio? So I was Thomas, I think, is a little bit younger. So that's why I said Thomas. What's going on, Sam? Thanks for popping in the stream. Did you hear about the Giants being interested in signing rookie free agent? Oh, God. You almost got me, VC. What's up, Justin Leon? Thanks for popping in the stream. What's going on, Thomas? Thank you for popping in the stream. Yeah, the reason I say Thomas, he's durable. You never really hear anything about him in terms of being, you know, a distraction, which is why I think the Saints paid him. He's consistent. He's great. You know, he had an unbelievable year this year. Yeah, he's a really good wide receiver, and he's relatively young. So that's why I would say Thomas. What's up, Noah? Thanks for popping in, buddy. Most underrated and overrated players on the team. Let's see. Most overrated and underrated players on the team. Was it overpaid or overrated? Underrated and overrated. Okay, most underrated. You know what? This might, a lot of people might laugh at this. In terms of being what he's paid, he's definitely not underrated. But in terms of what I think the fan base thinks of him as a player, Leonard Williams might be the most underrated player on this football team because he doesn't get sacks. But Leonard Williams is a good football player. So I might actually say Leonard Williams. If we're not factoring in contracts, we're not talking about the trade, we're just talking about him as a football player. Leonard Williams might be the most underrated player on this team. Most overrated player on this team. Most overrated player on this team. I'm not talking about the contract, Roldy. Everybody's getting paid $0. Everybody's getting paid $0. Most overrated player on this team. The thing is, we don't have a lot of overrated players. we don't have a lot of overrated players. Ingram's injury prone. So if you want to say him, yeah. For people that think if you factor in injuries, I guess you could say Evan Ingram. I think that's a good answer, Big Daddy. And Payback, man, thanks so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. He says, if Jason Garrett is the OC in 2 years, the Giants will sign Michael Gallup. Wow. You know what? They might. That's actually not bad forward thinking because obviously they're going to have to pay CeeDee Lamb. They might view CeeDee. They're not going to be able to pay all those wide receivers. Gallup fits the system. That could definitely be a target. That's a really good suggestion, actually, Payback card. I could see that. Depending on what we do, obviously. We can't predict the next 2 years, but I could absolutely see that. Gallup fits this system perfectly. It's a good call. What do you think the best secondary? The Giants might have the best secondary in our division. I think the Giants might. They definitely could. I wanted to say I love your channel. I really appreciate that, Joey. Thank you so much. And I knew, by the way, that's why I said it. I knew, by the way, that, and I love Roldy. I knew, by the way, when I said Leonard Williams, people were going to say, what? But I do think because, the only reason I think he's the most underrated is because everybody hates that he's on the team, because that we had to trade for him, and because of what we're paying him. But if you take all those factors out, I think Leonard Williams, in terms of being a football player, is a good football player. I think he's going to help the football team. So that's why I say underrated. That's my line of thinking when I say that. I still don't like that he's on the team, by the way. I don't like what he's getting paid, and I don't like that we traded for him. I want to make sure I get that point across. Do you hate Preston Parker as much? Probably not as much as you did, because I don't think I would ask that question. Are you going to get I probably will get a Thomas jersey, yes. And I appreciate that, Kristaps Porzingis. Thank you very much. Which undrafted... I'm looking forward to the running back. I'm looking forward to the running back we brought in from Maryland. I think he could have an impact for the Giants. Chris, do you think we should sign Jadeveon Clowney, Logan Ryan, Prince Mukamorka? We don't have any money. You know, people have been asking me all night. We don't have any money. We got $3.5 million in cap space right now. When you factor in Golden, who's going to be 5.5. Now, if he doesn't sign, I guess we'll have 9 or 10. But we don't have any money right now. I don't think we're signing anybody. Yeah, Leak, yeah. I think we get 8 wins. Yeah, I'm not picking it, but I think we could get 8 wins. But I can't. I'm gonna get a McKinney jersey for sure. Who makes the practice squad? I mean, if he doesn't make the team, I think Sills stays on the practice squad. I think they got 12 spots on the practice squad now. Probably gonna have one of those quarterbacks on the practice squad. And I'll make a video on that. I'm not sure which one. Maybe Rush. I think, like I said, I think Sills will be on the practice squad. I definitely think one of those wide receivers will be on the practice squad. 2 of them probably. Probably the guy we brought in from Canada. If you're asking me now, I don't think he makes the team. I think he'll be on the practice squad. Recent John, I think his name is. Yeah, there's a couple names for you. I'll probably have a video on that as well at some point. I think Victor's going to make the team, Jedi. I picked him to make the roster. I think Victor's going to make the Giants roster. My favorite pick in the draft is Andrew Thomas. I'm not saying it was the best value pick, but I was just ecstatic that we took an elite tackle at the top of the draft. My favorite pick in terms of value is probably McKinney. And I love McKinney. I love Parrott. I love Lemieux. I loved a lot of our picks. I loved Carter Coughlin. But yeah, McKinney, the top 2 picks, I loved. And we got time, man. Thanks so much for the love, man. $2 and he said, if you guys haven't done so, please go on over to him and subscribe over there. He's producing content as well. He says, what's up, Dana? What's going on, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Yeah, man, I appreciate you popping in, man. We're going to close this out probably about 5-10 minutes, but I appreciate everybody for being here. I really do. And I'm definitely going to answer a few more questions, but I appreciate everybody for being here and just talking sports with me for a couple of hours. And, as I always say, being the best supporters on YouTube. Everybody that tuned in, everybody that hit that thumbs up, asked a question, that's always in my streams, that watches my videos. Thank you for your continued support. Hip it. I love all you guys. Levy, have a great night, man. Tana, did you hear the CFL My Full? I did not hear that. Later, stupid videos. Have a great night, man. Great show, Chris. Thank you. You got it, Steve, man. Thank you for being here, buddy. Word, man. You got it, man. Thank you for being here. And I agree, Irish. The Knicks were getting a little bit better. Knicks don't have much of a future. I don't, right now, we need to hit on our draft picks. But I think R.J. Barrett and Mitch Robinson are pieces. We got to get a lot more, though. I do not, I'm done with Kevin Knox. But I always like talking a little Knicks here and there. All right, KP, you have a great night, buddy. What player will have a breakout? Yeah, I've been getting asked that. I mean, it could be Daniel Jones. If there's gonna be a guy on the offense that has a breakout, it'll be Daniel Jones. If there's a guy that's gonna have a breakout on the defense, it could be like 7 guys. There are so many different candidates. Who's the? Do you like our owners? Do I like our owners? You want my? Sometimes I do. I mean, I think they're good people. I think they're loyal. Do I think sometimes they should shut their mouths and not say what they say to the media? Yeah. Does John Mara piss me off sometimes? Yeah. Do I think he's done a good job over the last decade, if I'm being completely honest? No. So, I still think they're better owners than a lot of the teams I root for. The Mets owners are horrendous. Dolan's horrendous. But do I think Mara's the best owner in the world? No. He's got the reputation. He's a great guy. But sometimes I get frustrated with our ownership, if I'm being honest. What's up, Raymond? Thanks for popping in the stream. I appreciate it, Card Coach, man. Did you see First Take's debate, the Giants versus the Steelers? I saw part of it on Twitter. I watched like the first 5 minutes. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. One of my subscribers showed it to me. Oh, God. Yeah, Dolan's horrible. Fackrell has potential to be a beast. I agree, Kelly. I think Fackrell could have a nice year. Who do you think Gettleman drafted? Why do you think Gettleman drafted Lemieux? No, Tyler Biadasz was gone. The Cowboys jumped us for Tyler Biadasz. That's why we took Lemieux. I don't know if that's what are you asking, would he have taken Biadasz had he been there? I don't know. Biadasz had an injury history. We don't know. The one thing I'll say, one of my subscribers brought it up, the Giants were said to be interviewing Herbert a lot in the pre-draft process. Well, the guy that was blocking for Herbert was Lemieux. So maybe they were doing their homework all along with Shane Lemieux, and maybe they had interest in him all along. Because obviously they didn't have interest in Herbert. But my guess is they probably still would have taken Lemieux. What's going on there, Sonor? Sonor, we're closing this out in about 3 minutes, but I appreciate you for popping in, buddy. Well, I know you were here earlier. I saw you earlier. If our rookie O-lineman work out, is Saquon Offensive Player of the Year? Could be. Definitely in the top 5 if he plays all 16 games. He's going to have a big year. If you have the first pick in fantasy, take him. Do you think Lorenzo Carter or Zimenez has the big... Zimenez. But I like both a lot. But Zimenez is the guy I've said I think is going to lead the team in sacks. Why didn't we draft a wide receiver? You know what? I wouldn't have minded a wide receiver later in the draft. It is what it is. I think they were looking for guys to fill out special teams, and I think they obviously liked a lot of guys that they knew were going to go undrafted. They brought in 4 undrafted free agents at the wide receiver position, and I think they were looking to fill out depth on their roster at the linebacker position to fill in special teams. Obviously, Joe Judge puts a lot of importance to special teams, so that's my thought process there. On draft night, was I surprised that we didn't take a receiver in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round? A little bit. But, I think that was the line of thinking. And Mark, man, thanks so much for love, man. I appreciate it, man. Night, Chris. Glad I made it tonight. A lot of fun. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for all your love throughout the stream. Thank you for being a great supporter. And we got time, man. Thank you so much. When can I get on your channel? Very soon. I'll definitely have you on the channel soon. I want to have a couple of people on the channel. Maybe I'll have another roundtable soon with new YouTubers. I'd definitely be open to that. Maybe I'll do that soon. Yeah. I know there's a couple of guys I got to get on, but yeah, you're definitely one of them. But thank you to everybody. We're going to close this out now because I hear my dog already barking. But, Raphael, man, thanks so much for love, man. I really appreciate it. No fans means no crowd noise during the 3rd and long. That's true, especially when we play in Seattle. I mentioned that last night to Bad Dog. That would be nice. That would be nice. But, guys, I just want to say, 12, you have a great night, man. Jason Young, man, thank you so much. Oh, man, thank you guys so much, man. Jason Young says, if the Nets win a title, do you think Dolan sells? I'm going to go to bed tonight. Before I go to bed, Jason, I'm going to get on my knees, and I'm going to pray. Because I've been praying for that for a long time. So I hope that if that's what it takes, I hope the Nets win a title. And Dyer, man, thank you so much. 24.9K, but congrats on 25K, Dana. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, almost there. Probably within like 70 or so. So we'll definitely be doing the giveaway for that soon. We'll do that in one of these live streams. So, yeah, be sure you come here for that, as we'll be announcing the jersey giveaway. So thank you to everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, you guys are the best supporters on YouTube. You guys are phenomenal. Roldy, man, thank you. Wow, man, thank you guys so much. Roldy with the Fight All the Nation says, we need Hernandez to improve in his third year. Anyhow, have a great night. I agree with that, Roldy. I said it the other night. I think he's the X factor to the offense. I said he was the X factor this year. Didn't really do what he should have done, but he is definitely an X factor this year with Andrew Thomas. I completely agree with that. And Travis says, I think the Giants have the best special teams. There's no reason to think they can't. They added a lot of pieces to the special teams. They bring in one of the best special teams coaches in football with Joe Judge. And they have a really good special teams coordinator to begin with. I'm in complete agreement with you. They definitely are going to be up there. Let's put it that way. Top 10 in the league for sure. But thank you to everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody had a good night. I hope everybody's staying safe. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again. I'll probably do this again on Tuesday. Like I said, it'll be Tuesdays, Saturdays, and I'll mix in a show on Thursday with Bad Dog. So thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for being the best supporters on YouTube. Have a great night.